Chapter 1936. Date October 20th, Chapter 1948. Speechless, not bad. Golden Class Masters can extend their lifespan. Mystic Class Masters can slow down the aging process. Earth Class Masters can slow down the aging process. And Sky Class Masters can maintain their youthful appearance forever. Linny said, "The moment you break through to Sky Class, your appearance will never change again." What happens after Sky Class? Yushu suddenly asked. "Please remember, I don't know." Lin Yi shook his head. Meng Yao nodded thoughtfully. "So, Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao wouldn't age at all?" Meng Yao looked at Lin Yi and suddenly had the urge to become a practitioner. She wanted to become a Sky Class Master too. But she also knew that some things could only be found by chance. It wasn't something she could get just because she wanted to. Otherwise, everyone would be a practitioner. Let's stop here for today's treatment. Tomorrow I'll contact Sun Jingyi and check on her qi, then check on Grandma Sun's qi. Linny said, "Faubert, it's getting late. You and Grandma Sun should rest early too." Meng Yao and Yushu went upstairs, and Linny went back to his room, leaving only Faubert and Grandma Sun in the living room. Faubert felt a little awkward. I'll stay in the guest room." "No need, since we are husband and wife. Let's stay together. You can also tell me about the past." Grandma Sun hesitated and said shyly, "Okay." Faubert wasn't in a hurry to do anything, but he was very excited about Grandma Sun's acceptance. He quickly nodded happily, seeing Faubert act like a child. Grandma Sun shook her head helplessly, but at the same time, she felt warm in her heart. The next morning, Faubert and Grandma Sun woke up early with a light smile on their faces. Although Grandma Sun hadn't recovered her memories yet, it was obvious that she had accepted Faubert. ///. The two were busy preparing breakfast in the kitchen, and Lin Yi, Meng Yao, and Yushu smiled as they watched them. "Faubert is so happy. It's the first time I've seen him so happy." Yushu's impression of Li Fu was that he was a serious man, not a single hair out of place. Even when he'd been staying in the villa and preparing breakfast for them in the mornings, he'd never looked this serious. He'd never smiled like this before. Uncle Fu found his wife, but where's my mom? Meng Yao's eyes were filled with a sense of loss and loss. Yao, does Uncle Chu not know about your mom?" Lin Yi asked. "Daddy, he knows, but he won't tell me. He said I'm still young. Some things are better left unknown." Meng Yao shook her head. Lin Yi paused. Could there be some sort of secret behind all this? But since Pingzhan didn't want to talk about it, he didn't say much. Every family had their own. Maybe something unexpected happened. After breakfast, Lin Yi, Meng Yao, and Yushu left the villa, ready to drive to school. Coincidentally, the siblings from the villa next door came out as well, obviously going to school as well. "What a coincidence, you guys are going to school too." Han Jingjing greeted Lin Yi and the others. "Yeah, you guys are going too?" Lin Yi nodded. Lin Yi was very indifferent to people he wasn't familiar with, especially when Han Jingjing's background made Lin Yi suspicious, so naturally he didn't have a good tone. "I see. Why don't we get a ride with you guys?" Han Jingjing suddenly said. "My brother and I don't know where the buildings for economics and biology are. You guys are from those two departments." "Sure, let's go together then." Meng Yao answered before Lin Yi could even reply. As far as she was concerned, they were neighbors and classmates, and they were in the same profession. It was only natural for her to help out, if she could. It wasn't a big deal. Lin Yi didn't want to be too close to them, and wanted them to follow behind, but Lin Yi couldn't say anything, since the miss had already agreed. "Thank you so much." Han Jingjing and her brother got in the car and sat in the back with Meng Yao, while Yushu sat in the front passenger seat. Lin Yi started the car and drove to school. It wasn't far from here, so they arrived in no time. After getting out of the car, Meng Yao and Yushu brought Han Jingjing's brother to the economics department, leaving Lin Yi and Han Jingjing alone. Lin Yi locked the car and walked to the biology department without a word. "Wait for me." Han Jingjing saw that Lin Yi was walking very fast and only caught up after 2 steps. Can you introduce me to the medicine department? There's nothing much to introduce. You don't know what you're applying for? Lin Yi said faintly. Han Jingjing pouted, feeling wronged. It's just a hobby of mine, but what rules are there? How many people are in the class? I don't even know that. Oh, there's a student rule in there after you get the textbook. You'll know the rules once you read it. As for how many people are in the class, you'll know, Lin Yi said. Han Jingjing wasn't expecting Lin Yi to brush her off like this. She pouted and followed behind Lin Yi, not too happy. Lin Yi was a little surprised at Han Jingjing's aggrieved face. Could it really be a coincidence? Judging from Han Jingjing's expression, a girl who showed her emotions on her face shouldn't have too many tricks up her sleeves. Was he thinking too much? But they hadn't walked far when Lin Yi heard Han Jingjing mumbling behind him. Ignore me. Ignore me. I'll kick you to death. I'll kick. Lin Yi was sweating. Wasn't this girl's temper a little too bad? She'd kick him to death if he ignored her. And Lin Yi didn't even get to hear more before he heard a scream. He turned to see Han Jingjing kicking a wooden stump, not expecting it to be so sturdy. Han Jingjing lost her balance and fell backwards, hitting her head on the ground with a thud. Lin Yi's eyes widened in shock. This girl, wasn't she a little too fierce? Falling backwards after kicking a wooden stump? Are you all right? Lin Yi walked over helplessly and asked, but he saw Han Jingjing biting her lip. Tears were swirling in her eyes as if they were about to flow out, and her hand was covering the back of her head. She was as pitiful as she could be. I don't need you to care about me, even if I'm dead. Boo! Han Jingjing suddenly cried, making Lin Yi speechless for a while. Did she change her face just like that? She wanted to kick me to death just now, and now she doesn't need to care? Target equals _blank. Chapter 1937. However, Lin Yi was someone who could be persuaded but not cowed. Seeing Han Jingjing crying on the ground, he couldn't bear to see her like that. Before, Lin Yi had categorized her as one of the suspects, so Lin Yi didn't want to interact with her too much. But now, it seemed that things were different. This Han Jingjing didn't seem to have any ulterior motives. On the contrary, her brain seemed to be missing a cord. All right, stop crying. Let me see how your head is. Lin Yi bent down and carefully moved Han Jingjing's hand away. He saw that the back of Han Jingjing's head was already swollen. He thought to himself, thank goodness this girl is young. If she was older, wouldn't she have a cerebral hemorrhage? Whoa, it hurts. Han Jingjing's face was wet with tears. She was as miserable as she could be. At this time, many students looked over. After all, they were very curious. What was a girl crying on the ground for? There were also some students who didn't know and had a lot of imagination. They started to think and scold Lin Yi. See that? This guy must have cheated on her and got found out by his girlfriend. Look at how pitiful his girlfriend is. This guy's eyes are really all the way to the soles of his shoes. Such a beautiful girlfriend. I'll definitely treasure her and worship her. Look at how he made her cry. Another guy said with righteous indignation. Although Lin Yi was far away, he was still in Earth class. His eyes and ears were naturally better than normal people. He heard the conversation clearly and was speechless. Lin Yi had to admit that Han Jingjing was a beauty. Her round face and big eyes made her look like a porcelain doll. This kind of beauty wasn't like the Miss Classic beauty, nor was it like Yushu's pure and playful beauty. It was more like a little Lolita's, especially now when she was crying pitifully. It made people feel sympathetic. Therefore, the comments on this side were almost one-sided in favor of Han Jingjing, and Lin Yi became the heartless villain. Although Lin Yi didn't care about all this, it would be troublesome if his nonsense reached the Miss ears. Lin Yi had no choice but to deal with it quickly. He reached out and touched the big bump on Han Jingjing's head, quickly channeling the art of dragon mastery to heal it. All right, stand up. Let's go, Lin Yi said after curing Han Jingjing. Eh, it doesn't hurt anymore? Han Jingjing touched the back of her head and realized that the bulge was gone. She looked at Lin Yi in surprise and said, "Wow, you're amazing. How did you do it? Can you teach me?" Lin Yi frowned. Only now did he realize that he was a little reckless in a moment of desperation. He used pure energy to treat a neighbor he just met, and this neighbor was a curious baby, seemingly wanting to get to the bottom of it. "We'll talk about it later. Let's go to the classroom now. There are people watching," Lin Yi said. "Oh, okay." Han Jingjing patted the dust on her pants and followed Lin Yi happily. "What's going on?" Han Jingjing had been crying nonstop a moment ago, but now she was smiling all of a sudden, leaving with Lin Yi as if nothing had happened. The onlookers didn't know what was going on. "I know. That girl must have asked for something too much with her boyfriend. The boyfriend didn't agree, so she cried, and then when the boyfriend agreed, she smiled." A bystander said, "Ah, that seems to be the case. Could it be that she wanted to buy some cosmetics or clothes, and the boyfriend didn't buy it for her?" Another bystander nodded. "It's very likely." Another person also echoed. But no matter what, the people involved had left, and they also dispersed. Now that it was class time, it was okay to watch the fun, but it was not worth the loss if they delayed the class. "Lin Yi, how old are you? When were you born? Why are you so powerful?" Han Jingjing asked like a curious baby. "I don't know," said Lin Yi. He was also telling the truth. How would Lin Yi know when he was born? Would orphans know? "Ah, how is it possible?" "You are lying," said Han Jingjing. "I'm not lying. I'm an orphan." Lin Yi was afraid that she would cry again, so he answered, "Ah." Han Jingjing was stunned. She didn't expect Lin Yi to answer like this. She was a little silent. After a long time, she said, "Sorry, I don't know." "Then, since you are older than me, I will call you Brother Lin Yi." "It's nothing. I'm used to it," Lin Yi said faintly. "We are classmates. If you call me brother, what will others think?" "Why do you care about others?" Han Jingjing asked with some doubts. "Why?" Lin Yi was stunned. He didn't know how to answer Han Jingjing's words. "Yeah, why?" asked Han Jingjing. "Nothing. Do whatever you want." Lin Yi shook his head. This Han Jingjing's IQ seems to be a little lacking. Could it be that she became stupid from the fall just now? "Oh, okay." Han Jingjing nodded happily. "From now on, you're my big bro Lin Yi. You have to teach me that miraculous healing skill. That you can't learn it." Lin Yi smiled bitterly. "Why can't I learn it?" Han Jingjing looked at him curiously. "Because—" Lin Yi didn't know what to say. "Why do you have so many whys? Why don't you go see 100,000 whys? What's 100,000 whys?" Han Jingjing asked curiously. "Defeated by you." Lin Yi was speechless. "How did you live this long? To live with my younger brother?" Han Jingjing said seriously. Lin Yi pointed at the classroom in front of him. "We're here. This is the medicine faculty. Thank you. Can I go to and from school with Lin Yi, big bro, every day?" Han Jingjing asked happily. "We'll talk about it later." Lin Yi wanted to get rid of this 100,000 wise girl. Why did she have so much to say? Why didn't he see it before? If he knew she was so troublesome, he would have rejected her when she asked to be in the same car this morning. Lin Yi walked into the classroom and saw that the seats were the same as before. Xinyan was still sitting in the same seat. Lin Yi walked over and sat beside her. Han Jingjing, on the other hand, followed Lin Yi to Lin Yi's side. Han Jingjing's appearance attracted the attention of the students in the class. Xinyan was also a beauty in the school, but she was taken as soon as she arrived. The boys didn't have any ideas about her. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1938. But Han Jingjing was different. A beauty like her attracted the attention of all the bachelors. Even Yu Coiling Tiger took a few more glances at her. But Han Jingjing seemed to have come with Lin Yi. Why else would she be standing next to Lin Yi's seat? What else do you want? Lin Yi frowned as he looked at Han Jingjing. Where should I sit? Han Jingjing asked. Anywhere you want. Aren't there a lot of empty seats here? Lin Yi pointed at the empty seats around him. Then can I sit next to you, big brother Lin Yi? Han Jingjing looked at Lin Yi with a pitiful look. There's no space next to me. Can you sit in the aisle? Lin Yi rejected Han Jingjing's request immediately. He wouldn't be able to go to class if he agreed to it. Lin Yi wouldn't be able to do anything else either. Let this big sister sit there. And you sit in the middle. Wouldn't I be able to sit next to you then? Han Jingjing's logic wasn't wrong. No, Lin Yi didn't wait for Xinyan to say anything. Han Jingjing still wanted to say something, but Boss Bai walked into the classroom with a textbook in his hand. Han Jingjing had no choice but to find a random seat and sit down, a little depressed. Xinyan looked at Han Jingjing curiously, then at Lin Yi. She wanted to ask something, but didn't want Lin Yi to think that she was being nosy. Han Jingjing's here already? The moment Boss Bai entered the classroom, he saw Han Jingjing. He nodded to her and said, Let me introduce her to you. This is Han Jingjing, the second female student of our medicine major. She was delayed by something before and only came to school today. Something to attend to before? Was she trying to avoid military training? Some of the students in the classroom couldn't help but think of Han Jingjing, a delicate beauty. It wasn't a big deal to run away. Therefore, after Boss Bai's introduction, there was a warm applause in the class. Obviously, these boys expressed their warm welcome to Han Jingjing. All right, that's all for the introductions. Let's get ready for class. Boss Bai knocked on the podium and said, Our major is special. Other majors usually don't have specialized courses in the freshman year, but ours is different. We have specialized courses from the freshman year, and they take up a large proportion, of course. All the professional courses will be taught by me alone. Hearing Boss Bai's words, everyone was not too surprised because after the military training, the timetable was distributed by Weituo, and everyone knew the curriculum of the first semester of the freshman year. 7 by 24 hours of continuous updates, pure handmade TXT novels. Today was Boss Bai's first class, so he didn't go straight to the main subject. Instead, he talked about what the students in the medical major had to learn in the 4 years of university, what they had to master, and what they would achieve after they graduated from this major. However, to everyone's surprise, many core researchers of large pharmaceutical companies had graduated from Boss Bai's school, which made all the students present feel a sense of respect for Boss Bai. No wonder the seniors and their families insisted that they apply for this school. Most of the students here, except for those who loved medicinal herbs, were from families related to medicine. Their families either owned pharmaceutical factories or pharmaceutical companies, or engaged in the research and development of health products, or set up traditional Chinese medicine hospitals. Therefore, they sent the children of their relatives and friends here to study. They wanted to learn some real skills so that they could contribute to their family's business when they went back. Lin Yi, that Han Jingjing. Xinyan couldn't help but ask Lin Yi during the break. She's my neighbor. She forced me to bring her to class this morning. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. I think there's something wrong with her IQ. Why is she acting so dumb? A neighbor? Xinyan felt a little sour in her heart. Something she couldn't quite put her finger on. It was a very strange feeling, one that she'd never felt before. Yeah. Lin Yi was just about to say something when he saw Han Jingjing walking over. What do you want this time? Big bro Lin Yi, where's the washroom? I want to go. Han Jingjing blushed. Ooh, can't you go look for it? Lin Yi's face darkened. Why did this Han Jingjing look like she hadn't seen much of the world? Why didn't she know anything? Judging from her ability to buy a villa, she couldn't be the young miss of some big family, could she? She was the type that had everything at her fingertips. I'm afraid I'll get lost, Han Jingjing said, a little embarrassed. I'll go with you. I want to go as well, Xinyan said as she stood up. Han Jingjing's eyes flashed with disappointment, but it was gone in a flash. She nodded to Xinyan. All right, thank you, sis. It's nothing. It's on the way, Xinyan said as she brought Han Jingjing to the washroom. Xinyan actually wanted to get to know this new girl as well. They were the only two girls in the class after all, and it'd be more convenient to have a girl with them when there were activities in the future. It'd save the awkward situation of having to change clothes during military training. Xinyan and Han Jingjing went to the washroom, but Bai Weitua came over. Big bro Lin, what's up with this Han Jingjing? Don't tell me she's a freshman too? It's nothing. I met her on the way to school. She's also a medical major, so I brought her here. Lin Yi didn't mention that he was Han Jingjing's neighborhood. There were too many people around Bai Weitua. What if they all went to his house after he told them? At that time, Miss and Shu would both be at home, and it would be difficult to explain. Therefore, Lin Yi planned to talk to Bai Weitua in private. Ah, no way. Such good luck? Song Xiaodao said enviously. Why can't I touch it? Now that I'm single, Lao Bai and Shengji both have their own targets. Better than yourself. Lin Yi was stunned and looked at Zhao Shengji. Lin Yi knew that Bai Weitua was pursuing Himeiwe, but he didn't know why Zhao Shengji also had a target. It's Chai Xiaoling, he. Zhao Shengji said with a big belly. Lin Yi looked at Zhao Shengji and thought of Chai Xiaoling's petite figure. He felt a chill run down his spine. The two of them together were truly a stark contrast. By the way, Bai Weitua, how's the preparation for the freshman party? Lin Yi asked. There's basically no problem. I've talked to my classmates yesterday. I'm the main singer of our class's choir. Bai Weitua said, there's no class this afternoon. Let's start rehearsing. Target equals _ blank. Chapter 1939. Date October 20th, Chapter 1951. What should I do? That's good. Since you agreed to compete with that Zhang Duopan, you have to show your true abilities. If you lose, you won't be able to explain it to Himeiwe. Lin Yi cared a lot about Bai Weitua, but there wasn't much Lin Yi could do to help with the performance. I know, don't worry. That Zhang Duopan clearly doesn't have any artistic cells in him. I'm confident I can beat him. Bai Weitua said confidently, but don't underestimate him. That kid is a bit devious. Lin Yi said. He could tell from the incident in the cafeteria that Zhang Duopan was a cunning person. It wasn't long before Xinyan and Han Jingjing came back from the washroom. The two seemed to have gotten to know each other a little better, but Xinyan didn't invite Han Jingjing to sit with her. Perhaps she didn't want to ruin the peace and tranquility she had with Lin Yi in class. Xinyan was already used to sharing a table with Lin Yi, and it gave her a sense of security. It was as if everything was supposed to be like this. Xinyan didn't want anyone else to get involved and ruin the peace that they didn't know how long it would last. He heard that Zhaolong was studying for a doctorate in medicine at Donghai Industry University, and he was here to create an opportunity for him to interact with Zhaolong. If Zhaolong were to appear, this peace would be broken. At noon, Lin Yi sent a text to the miss, telling her that he was going back to Songshan to see Sun Jingyi. He wanted to see her practitioner's arts and pure qi, and compare it with the pure qi in Grandma Sun's head. The miss agreed without hesitation, but gave Lin Yi a difficult mission. She wanted Lin Yi to go back to the villa and bring her underwear from a room on the second floor, although there were underwear for sale here. Some misses were used to wearing underwear and didn't want to change. Lin Yi was speechless. He remembered that the miss didn't even let him go upstairs when he first arrived, but now she even wanted him to bring her underwear. But when did the miss become so bold? Hadn't she always been a reserved person? While Lin Yi was puzzled, Meng Yao was about to explode. Shu, who told you to do that? Oh, didn't Sister Yao Yao say that you're not used to the new lingerie and pajamas you bought? You want to bring all of them from Songshan's house? I saw that Shield Bro was going back, so I asked him to get it. Yushu said confidently, but he doesn't need to go get it. What if he sees what's in the cabinet? Meng Yao glared at Yushu, wanting to kick her to death. In the cupboard? What's that? Yushu blinked. You bought it yourself. Don't you know what it is? Meng Yao said angrily, that spinning stick you bought from the mail order. Why did you have to buy it? Out of curiosity. Meng Yao's reminder reminded Yushu abruptly that there was a box in the cabinet with some imitation female products in it. Yushu had bought it online out of curiosity, but realized that it could damage the hymen when she bought it, so she didn't dare try it out. She'd only studied it for a while before tossing it into the cabinet, forgetting about it after that. She didn't expect Meng Yao to remember it, though. What's with the boss? Hurry up and text him not to take it. Meng Yao was pissed, but isn't texting us now? What if Shield Bro gets even more curious? Yushu said, Meng Yao thought about it. What if she texted Lin to stop him from getting the underwear? He'd probably think it'd be weird if she stopped him from getting the underwear, and he'd check it out. It'd be like she and Shu were perverts, hiding things from him on purpose. Meng Yao sighed dejectedly at the thought. Forget it. I'll let you explain tonight. Oh, it's fine. I'll explain it. Don't worry. I won't drag Yao down with me. Yushu promised with a pat on her chest. It had nothing to do with me. Meng Yao roared, frustrated. But you studied it too. Yao. You didn't object when I bought it. Yushu said, then how are you going to explain it? Meng Yao didn't want to dwell on the topic. I told you I wanted to do XX with Shield Bro, but I didn't know how to do it, so I bought one to study and understand the structure, just in case. Yushu said, whatever you want. Meng Yao was speechless. Yushu had always been tough, and it was best for her to explain. Before he left, he went back to the dorm. The box of American dollars he got from the drug dealer was still in his backpack. He was going to give it to Xiaoka. Although Fatty Lai could support Xiaoka in the construction of the orphanage by waiving some of the construction fees and material fees, the children in the orphanage still needed money. Fatty Lai couldn't provide the money endlessly. After all, Miracle, Dr. Guan's medical company, needed a lot of money to develop. Lin Yi didn't want to waste his money. After taking the money, Lin Yi called Sun Jingyi. Sun Jingyi was surprised and happy when she received Lin Yi's call. Big thief, why are you calling me? I thought you forgot about me. Sun Jingyi's attitude towards Lin Yi was slowly changing. At first, she had a good impression of Lin Yi, but now she was a little moved. It wasn't until the Noble House meeting that Sun Jingyi realized how strong Lin was. At first, Sun Jingyi was hesitant. She didn't know whether she liked Lin Yi or admired Lin Yi, but after seeing Ling Shan throwing herself at him, Sun Jingyi's competitive heart was touched. If she didn't grab onto such a good man, she wouldn't get another chance like this in the future. And these few days, when Sun Jingyi heard that Ling Shan was going to be transferred to Dongha, she was even more worried. She cursed Ling Shan for being so shameless. Lin Yi's wife just went to Shuegu, and Ling Shan was already in a hurry to get the position. She couldn't let her get her way. After all, she was Lin Yi's lover. It would be easier for her to go from a lover to a wife than an outsider like Ling Shan, right? Sometimes things were just so strange. Sun Jingyi went from being a little moved towards Lin Yi to suddenly occupying her whole heart. This strange phenomenon could be said to be a subtle influence. When Sun Jingyi calmed down, even she felt that it was unbelievable. Did she fall in love with Lin Yi just like that? When did it happen? When she asked him to help her deal with her business rivals? Or when she asked him to pretend to be her boyfriend to trick Wu Qintian? Or when she asked him to be her boyfriend to meet her grandpa? Xiashu. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1940. Date, October 20th, Chapter 1952. The Alliance of the Strong, or was it at the Noble House meeting when Lin Yi showed off his power? Sun Jingyi didn't remember exactly when it started, but she was sure that she had fallen in love with Lin Yi. Otherwise, she wouldn't have been so impulsive when she heard that Ling Shan was going to Dongha. And so, Sun Jingyi decided to discuss it with Qin Tian. The two of them would go to Dongha as well. She didn't think that Lin Yi would call before Sun Jingyi could find Qin Tian. You're still at your old place, right? I'll come find you in a bit. Lin Yi said, Ah, you're looking for me? Aren't you in Dongha? Sun Jingyi paused. Yes, but I'll be going back to Songshan later. I have something to talk to you about. Lin Yi said. All right, see you later, Jingyi said, suppressing the joy in her heart as she hung up the phone. Sun Jingyi knew very well that Lin Yi was probably looking for her for some reason. It wasn't just because he missed her, but no matter what, Sun Jingyi was still very happy to see Lin Yi. Lin Yi didn't waste any more time and went straight to the highway. Lin Yi had quite a few things to do in Songshan. Other than checking on Sun Jingyi's qi, he had to send money to Xiaoke, go to Songshan's Songshan First School to see Ziyu and Qinxi, and then he had to get the Miss Underwear. 2 hours later, Lin Yi's car stopped at the food street behind Songshan's First School. A trace of confusion flashed through Lin Yi's eyes as he looked at the familiar scenery. It was as if he'd experienced a lot of things with someone important here, but what exactly they were, Lin Yi couldn't remember. Frowning, Lin Yi shook his head helplessly, got out of the car, and walked towards the first high school. The guard of the first high school naturally recognized Lin Yi. When he saw Lin Yi enter, he didn't stop him. It was after class, and there were many students on the sports field. This was such a familiar memory. Seeing the familiar sports field, the familiar teaching building, and the familiar cafeteria not far away, Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh with emotion. Student, do you know which class Ziyu and Qinxi are in? Lin Yi asked a random student who looked like he was a freshman. Ah, you don't know? When the student heard Lin Yi's question, he looked at Lin Yi strangely. Are they famous? Lin Yi was also stunned. It was strange that he didn't know. Not very famous, but extremely famous. Ziyu and Qinxi are the prettiest girls in the first year, but Ziyu has a hot personality. Not just anyone would go after her. Only school bully Zhou Ruoming would go after her. The students started talking excitedly, but compared to Ziyu, Qinxi is more popular. She's the commoner, prettiest girl in school, and she's the target of many boys' fantasies. She's here to replace the commoner, prettiest girl who graduated last year. Commoner, prettiest girl? Lin Yi repeated those 4 words. What a familiar name. He seemed to have heard of it before. HM? Right? Are you from our school or not? How come you don't know anything? With that, the student looked at Lin Yi with caution. Let me tell you, we can't even fight for the prettiest girl in our school. If you're from another school, you can pass. Ha, I'm Ziyu's brother. Lin Yi smiled. Ah, so you're Ziyu's brother. Then it's fine. Bye. The student looked at Lin Yi, a little awkward. Calling his sister a hot personality in front of Ziyu's brother was something embarrassing. Wait, which class is Ziyu in? Lin Yi asked. Class 5. HM? Aren't you her brother? How come you don't know which class she's in? The student looked at Lin Yi suspiciously. Distant relative just visiting her on the way. With that, Lin Yi turned and walked towards the school building. Could it be some random excuse made up by Ziyu's pursuer? The student shook his head and ignored him. Ziyu and Chen, she were the prettiest girls in school, but they were too far away from normal boys like them. They couldn't be reached. Lin Yi walked into the school building with familiarity and found his classroom in no time at all. There was a group of people surrounding the classroom, and one of them was holding a bouquet of flowers, as if he was declaring his love for a girl. Ziyu, just say yes, I'm true to you. I really am. The guy was saying mushy words of love, but Lin Yi recognized this guy. Who else could it be but Zhou Ruoming? This guy was showing his love to Ziyu. This made Lin Yi frown. He'd only been gone for a few days, and the Zhou brothers were acting like this again? Didn't he ask Zhou Ruoguang to take care of Ziyu? Why was his brother, Zhou Ruoming, harassing Ziyu himself? Did this family want to die? But from the looks of it, Zhou Ruoming didn't do anything overboard, so Lin Yi decided to wait and see. Ziyu had been really annoyed these past few days. When Zhou Ruoming wrote her love letters, she didn't even look at them before throwing them away. He asked her out to eat a few times, but she rejected all of them. Who would have thought that Zhou Ruoming would be standing in front of the classroom with a bouquet of flowers? Zhou Ruoming, are you done? Didn't I tell you that my brother is really strong? If you keep bothering me, I'll tell him to break your third leg. Ziyu put her hands on her waist and glared at Zhou Ruoming. The surrounding students were speechless. She was the hot school beauty. After all, so fierce. Breaking someone's third leg with just one sentence. Hee, my brother's really strong too. That's even better. We're a strong team. Zhou Ruoming grinned. Ziyu frowned. It seemed like this guy wasn't going to let it go if she didn't do something drastic. You know the boss of the North District, Guangbro, right? Ziyu didn't want to mention these gangsters at first, since she'd promised Lin Yi that she'd study hard. She hadn't been fighting anyone with a knife in this period of time, but she didn't expect that they'd come looking for trouble instead. Book Ocean Pavilion she's here as soon as possible. Boss of the North District, Guangbro? Isn't that my brother? He's called Zhou Ruoguang, and I'm Zhou Ruoming. Your brother wouldn't be my brother, would he? Zhou Ruoming grinned. Could it be that Ziyu's brother was her godbrother? That was even better. Now that they were together, they'd be even closer. It wasn't that Lin Yi left, but Zhou Ruoguang didn't think that Zhou Ruoming and Ziyu would have anything to do with each other. He didn't know that Ziyu would come to Songshan's first school. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1941. Date October 20th, chapter 1953. Her brother is me, so Zhou Ruoguang's your brother. That's even better. But he's not good enough to be my brother. Your brother's nothing but a pug in front of my brother. Ziyu remembered how much respect Zhou Ruoguang had for Lin Yi, and she couldn't help but feel proud of herself. This was even better. Bringing up Zhou Ruoguang and having him ask around would make this guy stop bothering her. What did you say? Zhou Ruoguang's face darkened. This was a slap in the face. He didn't use force on her before, because he knew that she was a hooligan, but now she was calling him a pug. Zhou Ruoguang was furious. Who the hell is your brother? I'm her brother. Lin Yi smiled and walked over. You? So Ruoguang paused, not expecting someone to answer. He turned around, and his face changed. He didn't expect it to be Lin Yi, and his legs went soft, almost falling on his butt. He thought about what Ziyu said before, that your brother's nothing but a pug in front of my bro. She wasn't wrong at all. Even his old man, Zhou Tiandi, was nothing in front of Hayashi Lin, let alone Zhou Ruoguang. Hayashi Lin, Ziyu's your sister. Zhou Ruoguang just realized how stupid of a thing he'd done. Of all people, he had to go after Ziyu. His target was Qin Shi, the commoner beauty, but Tang Yun, the commoner beauty, got beaten up by Lin Yi, so he was a bit traumatized. He didn't expect her to be Lin Yi's sister. Why haven't you graduated yet, kid? Can't you do something proper? You only know how to hit on girls. Lin Yi frowned. He could tell that Ziyu wasn't at a disadvantage. So Lin Yi didn't bother with Zhou Ruoguang. With a hooligan like him in school, he could at least look after Ziyu and Qin Shi. Hayashi Lin, I can't get into college, so I'll just stay here for a few more years. Zhou Ruoguang said awkwardly, I'm sorry, Hayashi Lin, I didn't know Ziyu was your sister. I wouldn't have gone after her, even if I had 100 guts, if I did. I'll throw this flower away. All right, you don't have to throw it away. Lin Yi snatched the flower from Zhou Ruoguang's hands. I'll give it to you then. Ziyu, this is for you. Ziyu was already very surprised to see Lin Yi. And seeing Lin Yi give her a flower, her heart skipped a beat and her face blushed. In front of outsiders, she was a hot girl, but in front of Lin Yi, she was a good girl. She took the flower and said shyly, "Linny bro, thank you." Ugh. So Ruoguang was a bit dumbfounded. Ziyu had this shy side to her? But then he remembered that Lin Yi and Ziyu didn't have the same surname. Could they be siblings? At that thought, Zhou Ruoguang's legs shivered. He really was blind, chasing two women who were Hayashi Lin's women. He was asking to die. "Linny bro." Chun, she saw Lin Yi as well, but her face darkened when she saw Lin Yi giving flowers to Ziyu. She recovered quickly, and her mood was replaced with joy. "Why are you here?" Lin Yi's senses were sharp. How could he not see the sadness in Chen Shi's eyes? She smiled and split the flowers in Ziyu's hands into two, giving one to Chen Shi. "This was for you too? I was just about to ask Ziyu to give it to you." Yeah. Chen Shi, Linny bro wanted to give it to you." Ziyu looked at Chen Shi teasingly as well. She knew what Chen Shi was thinking, of course. She'd been joking with her about Lin Yi a lot lately. Is that so? Chen Shi was happy, but she jumped when she saw Ziyu's eyes. She was afraid that she'd say something inappropriate in front of Lin Yi. "Thank you, Linny bro. Let's talk outside the classroom." "It's not too good." Chen Shi was a bit shy. She had puppy love in her classmates, but she was the type of girl who was more cautious. She had a crush on Lin Yi, but she didn't want people to see it. In fact, even Zhou Ruoming could tell what Chen Shi was thinking. Zhou Ruoming sighed to himself. If he'd gone after Chen Shi back then, he'd be in big trouble. Going after a weak girl like Chen Shi, so Ruoming wouldn't do what he did to Ziyu. He'd definitely do what he did to Tang Yun, threatening her. But if he did that, Lin Yi would probably stomp him to death. "What's going on? What are you all standing at the classroom door for?" A familiar voice rang out, and the students at the door dispersed immediately. Even Zhou Ruoming carefully moved to the side. "What are you three standing there for?" The voice rang out again, this time for Lin Yi, Ziyu, and Chen Shi. "Haha, Mr. Wang, I'm here to see my sisters." Lin Yi smiled as he greeted the owner of the voice. Lin Yi?" Jifeng's face turned a bit weird when he saw Lin Yi. He was relieved that Lin Yi had graduated. He could finally go back to being that powerful headmaster. But now Lin Yi was back. He didn't dare pretend in front of Lin Yi. Now that Lin Yi had graduated, he wasn't afraid of him anymore. What if Lin Yi said something about what happened before? He'd be in trouble. Therefore, Wang Jifeng immediately put on a kind smile. These two are your younger sisters. Are they from grade 5, class 5? I understand. If you need anything in the future, you can come find me anytime." Chen Shi, Ziyu, Mr. Wang said that if you need anything, just go find him. Like if someone's chasing after you or something, Lin Yi said with a smile. Ziyu's eyes widened. She didn't think that the headmaster would be this nice to Lin Yi. Just who was this guy? Why was he so cocky everywhere he went? Ziyu was practically worshipping Lin Yi now. There's no need for the headmaster to do anything. I'll take care of it for Hayashi Lin. So Ruoming was worried that Lin Yi would come looking for trouble. He quickly patted his chest in front of Lin Yi. Jifeng was speechless. This So Ruoming was so loyal after getting beaten up by Lin Yi a couple of times. This guy was really a softie, but then again, wasn't his weakness in Lin Yi's hands as well? Target equals _blank. Chapter 1942. Date October 20th, Chapter 1954. In Ziyu's idea, these two could be considered the black and white sides of the school. No one would dare bully Ziyu and Chen Shi in school anymore. The next class is gym. We're not going. Lin Yi bro, bring us out for a walk. We haven't seen you in a long time. Ziyu said, skipping class right in front of the dean. It's fine. You guys go if you have something to do. I'll talk to the gym teacher. Jifeng said, wishing that Lin Yi would leave. Chen Shi wasn't as smart as Ziyu, and her eyes went wide at the words of the strict dean. She couldn't believe it. But Ziyu was already holding her hand, following Lin Yi out of the school building. Ziyu, not bad, actually reaching the minimum requirement to pay for your own expenses. It seems like she's hard work this time. The first half of Lin Yi's sentence was to praise Ziyu, and Ziyu was feeling proud of herself. But the second half of Lin Yi's sentence was to praise Chen Shi. This made Ziyu very depressed. It's true that it's she's work, but she tried her best too. Ziyu said, a little unhappy. Yeah, Linny bro. Ziyu really put in a lot of effort. Chen Shi said, I know. I don't want her to get arrogant. Linny said, but you didn't disappoint me, Ziyu. Study hard, and you'll be able to face yourself and your brother in the future. My brother. Ziyu's face was a little down when she heard Lin Yi bring up her brother. My brother's mission isn't done yet. When will he come back? I don't know about that. Some things are confidential, and I can't just say it like that. Please remember. Lin Yi said, but it'll be a long time, or your brother wouldn't have asked me to take care of you. The person my brother asked isn't bad at all. Big brother Lin Yi. You're so awesome. Wherever you go, people seem to be afraid of you. Even that black-faced Wang Jifeng treats you kindly. You're really awesome. Ziyu had been scolded by Wang Jifeng a couple of times since school, and she naturally held a grudge against him. Seeing how nice he was to Lin Yi today, Ziyu felt a lot better. Do you have enough money? He came to see Ziyu mainly because he wanted to ask if she had any money to spend. The school had waived her tuition, but she still needed money for her living. Fortunately, I haven't spent all the money you left me last time. I don't really need money. Ziyu wasn't the kind of girl who spent a lot of money. She usually spent money on transportation and food, and she didn't really buy clothes. Well, it's good that you know how to be thrifty, but don't waste yourself too much. This is a card with 20,000 yuan in it. If you use it sparingly, it should be enough for a semester, Lin Yi said as he handed a card to Ziyu. This was the card Lin Yi got before coming. The password is 6 zeros. This, my brother told you to give me? Ziyu didn't want to take Lin Yi's money. Yeah, your brother left me some money and told me to give it to you regularly, Lin Yi said vaguely. Oh, Ziyu didn't hold back and took the card, putting it in her pocket. How's your mom? She's fine now, right? Lin Yi didn't know why, but he thought of old Ju again. That guy always had bad intentions, and he didn't know if he'd tried to harm Chen Shi's mom again. Mom's better now, and she's working at that beef noodle house now. She's a part-time waitress, making 2,000 a month. Chen Shi was very happy when she talked about her mom's situation. Not only was her mom better, but she could also go out and earn money. Chen Shi's family's life was a lot easier now. With her mom's income, Chen Shi didn't have to scavenge every day anymore. She could only go out on weekends, and it wouldn't affect her studies. Lin Yi nodded. All right, go back and study then. I'm leaving now. I'm studying at Dong. Call me if you need anything. You're leaving? Chen Shi didn't want Lin Yi to leave, but she wasn't someone who was good at expressing herself. She didn't know how to make him stay. Linny bro, since you're here, don't leave so early. You didn't even treat me. And she to dinner. Ziyu said coquettishly, when my brother comes back, I'll tell him how you treat us. Ha. Lin Yi smiled, but his heart tightened. Ziyu might never know that her brother was already dead, and she'd never see Armadillo again. At that thought, Lin Yi's face changed. Let's go. I'll treat you guys to dinner. What do you want to eat? And I want to eat the beef noodle house Shi's mom works at. Ziyu said, I tried it once before, and I thought it was a bit expensive. This time, it's your treat, Linny bro. All right, let's go then. Lin Yi sighed. Ziyu was a good girl by nature, and being in that school before was actually a form of protection for herself. She wouldn't be able to survive alone in that kind of environment. And even if she did survive, she might catch the eye of some hoodlum and become their slave. After treating Ziyu and Chen Shi to some noodles, Lin Yi sent them back to school, telling them to study hard before leaving. Lin Yi's heart was a bit heavy. Seeing Ziyu's happy face, Lin Yi's heart was pounding. He'd have to tell her about armadillos sooner or later, but how was he supposed to tell her? I don't even know what to say to you. Haven't you heard that you have to fight for your own happiness? You're so quiet. Can't you be a bit more proactive? How many years does it take for Lin Yi bro to come visit us? Look, you're wasting the chance, aren't you? Ziyu scolded Chen Shi. Ziyu had guessed Chen Shi's thoughts, and she denied it at first, but after a while, she admitted it. Liking Lin Yi wasn't something to be ashamed of. And so Ziyu started teaching her how to chase guys, but she didn't have the chance to put what she taught her into practice. Man, no, I need to do something else next time. Do you know how to flirt? Find a chance next time and trick Lin Yi bro to come to my house. Dress a bit more sexily and flirt with him. Maybe it'll work. Ziyu said, Ziyu sis, what are you talking about? I don't know how to. That's so indecent. Chen Shi's face got redder. Ziyu actually came up with something like this, telling her to flirt. Wasn't that something only bad girls would do? Target equals _blank. Chapter 1943. Date October 20th, Chapter 1955. Depressing and depressing. What's so improper about it? Haven't you heard of this saying? Women need to be able to go to the hall, cook in the kitchen, and get on the bed. Ziyu said with a serious face. You need to be noble and dignified in front of outsiders, gentle and virtuous at home, good at cooking. When you're in bed, you need to be horny. Men all like women like that. Ziyu used to be a delinquent girl living with a bunch of men. She'd heard a lot of this stuff, and now she was teaching Chen Shi. 7 by 24 hours of continuous updates, pure TT handmade. Ah, really? Chen Shi was more innocent, but Ziyu's words made sense. But that was too embarrassing, and she couldn't do it. Of course, no, I have to keep training you, or you won't have a big chance. Ziyu said, Ziyu sis, can we not get on the bed? Chun, she said bitterly. How can we do that? This is the most important thing. Ziyu said, don't worry, it's easy to learn. I'll get you some movies, and you'll know when you come to my house. Okay? Chun Shi stupidly agreed. After leaving the first high school, Lin Yi drove back to the villa area. Ever since he went to East Box, no one had come to this villa for a long time. Lin Yi opened the door of the villa and suddenly felt a sense of desolation. Lin Yi didn't delay. He went upstairs and came to the elder sister and Shu's bedroom on the second floor. This used to be Lin Yi's forbidden place, but later, everyone's relationship became harmonious. Lin Yi came up a few times, but if there was nothing important, Lin Yi still wouldn't come. Siami, opening her wardrobe, Lin Yi found a clean underwear storage box and took out the underwear and pajamas in the wardrobe one by one and put them in the storage box. Big Sister's and Shu's underwear were basically cute. Many of them were printed with cartoon patterns, but even so, it still gave people a feeling of imagination. Looking at the underwear in front of him, Lin Yi couldn't help but think of the incident at Grandma Sun's house when Big Sister took off her clothes to take a bath. He immediately cursed the 3 Earth-rank bastards for coming at the wrong time. Burning them to death with fire poison was really letting them off easy. After packing the underwear, Lin Yi found that there was a box under the cabinet. Lin Yi didn't think much about it. He thought that it was a new underwear that hadn't been unpacked, so he picked it up. But when he held it in his hand, he was shocked. Damn, it's so big. Lin Yi looked at the huge thing in front of him and was shocked. Such a huge female masturbator. Was it for Big Sister or Shu? But it doesn't seem like it. Big Sister definitely isn't this kind of person, and Shu, although her character is a bit tough. In Lin Yi's opinion, she wouldn't use such a terrifying thing. However, this appeared in Big Sister and Shu's cabinet. Other than the two of them, there really wasn't anyone else. 7 by 24 hours of continuous updates, pure TT handmade. Lin Yi was a bit hesitant. He didn't know if he should give it to them. He wanted to ask Big Sister and Shu, but Lin Yi was too embarrassed to do so. After a moment of silence, Lin Yi directly stuffed the box into the storage box. He gave it to them anyway, so they wouldn't need it anymore. Lin Yi didn't think too much about it. Perhaps Shu bought it to prank others. This girl often tricked people, so it wasn't impossible for her to buy something like this and stuff it into the bags of Zhong Pingliang and the others. After packing these things, Lin Yi put the storage box in the car's trunk. He then turned back to his room and took out a male thief mask. Lin Yi thought about it and decided to meet Yuku as the male thief. He'd helped her last time with his identity, and the girl had misunderstood him. He didn't want to go through the trouble of explaining to her. Yuku was going crazy recently. Although the construction of the orphanage was on the right track, and most of the buildings were built by Fatty Lie's company for free, she still lacked money. Yes, she lacked money very much. There was no other reason. Lingshan had recently uncovered a criminal group that specialized in kidnapping and selling children, raising them to become beggars, entertainers, and thieves. The person in charge of this group was in Jianda, but he was beaten half to a pulp by Lin Yi and was sent back to the firewolves by the professor. His underlings didn't know about this, and while they were waiting for Jianda to come back, the police came to their door and wiped out their criminal base. Although the criminals had been sent to prison, the children and street children who had been caught had become a big problem. The police released pictures of these children, and while waiting for their parents to come and claim them, they sent them to the city's orphanage. Of course, everyone knew that other than a few parents who would recognize their children and take them back, most of the children would stay in the orphanage forever. Some of the children were even sold or abandoned by their cruel parents. So why would they take them back? The orphanage suddenly had more than 200 children, and that meant more than 200 mouths. No matter how rich Yuku was, she wouldn't be able to take care of all these children. The money that Lin Yi gave her last time was basically used up, and Yuko was so anxious that she wanted to go back to her old business. In fact, the orphanage could totally reject these 200 orphans. After all, the orphanage wasn't in a good financial situation right now, and suddenly having so many children would definitely increase the burden. However, Yuko and the old director were kind people. They opened this orphanage not to make money, but completely out of love. Yuko even went to the hospital to adopt abandoned babies. Faced with so many homeless children, how could she reject them? Master, there are so many children, food, clothes, and daily necessities. This cost is too much, and we can't afford it. Why don't we borrow some money from Chairman Lai? Yuko didn't want to borrow money unless it was absolutely necessary. She didn't know why Lin Yi was so good to her. Not only did he give her a sum of money last time, but now he let Fatty Lai build some facilities for the orphanage during the factory's free time. Although most of the materials used were left over from the factory's construction, and the construction time wasn't fixed, he only helped the orphanage when his construction company was free. Although the progress was slow, the orphanage didn't have to pay a single cent. So, Yuko was a little puzzled. What was Lin Yi doing? Since she already knew that she had someone she liked and it was impossible for her to have anything to do with him, he still did this for another reason. But if that wasn't the case, then why? Target equals _blank. Chapter 1944. Date, October 20th. Master, your identity. Xiaoko was startled. She knew a little about her master, and if her master were to show his face in public, his life would be in danger. It's been so many years, and that incident should be over by now. Plus, I only accept missions from the thief store, so there shouldn't be any problems, the dean said. Master, why don't I go? Xiaoko hesitated. No, you almost lost your life last time, and if it wasn't for the male thief protecting you, you wouldn't have made it back. The dean rejected Xiaoko's suggestion. Although you are proficient in some mechanisms and dark arts, Your experience is still too little. Facing those cunning people of the same profession, how are you a match for them? Hearing the dean's words, Xiaoka couldn't help but fall into silence. It was true that during the tomb robbery, if it wasn't for the male thief protecting her, she would have become old Hay's cannon fodder. She wouldn't even know how she died. Man, if only the male thief could come with me. Xiaoka sighed. Lin Yi stood outside the dean's room, quietly listening to their conversation. He didn't think that the orphanage was still so difficult. He thought that with the money he gave them last time, and with Fatty Lie's free help, the orphanage would have a good life. Who knew that there would suddenly be 200 more orphans? This was killing Xiaoka. With Xiaoka's personality, even if she didn't eat or drink, she wouldn't let these children suffer. So, although Xiaoka was a little reckless and greedy, Lin Yi had a good impression of her. Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't have thought of giving this small box of money to Xiaoka immediately. Lin Yi didn't disturb her and waited for Xiaoka outside the room. He didn't want the dean to know that he was here, and he only wanted to see Xiaoka and leave after giving her the things. Lin Yi didn't want too many people to know his identity as the male thief. This dean was a half-golden class master, and Lin Yi felt that she had some secrets. Xiaoka also said that she seemed to have a grudge against someone, so Lin Yi didn't want to have too much to do with her. After talking to the dean, Xiaoka left the room, but she didn't take 2 steps before a voice came from behind. "Flying Sparrow, can I talk to you?" Lin Yi suddenly appeared behind Xiaoka. Xiaoka froze, but hearing the familiar voice and the unique name, her eyes lit up with excitement. Male thief. She turned around and saw the familiar mask. Xiaoka's heart skipped a beat and her cute face blushed. This was the person that she thought about day and night, the person that always appeared in her dreams. She didn't think that he would appear in front of her again. Didn't he say that they wouldn't meet again every time they parted? But it didn't take long for them to meet again, and it made Xiaoka very happy. "Ha, it's me, but aren't you going to invite me to your room?" "It's not good for others to see me like this, right?" Lin Yi pointed at his mask and smiled bitterly. Xiaoka couldn't see Lin Yi's bitter smile, but she could hear the awkwardness in Lin Yi's voice. She playfully said, "Then take off your mask. Take it off. I'm afraid you'll be disappointed." "Sometimes expectations are better than reality," Lin Yi said faintly. "If you don't want to take it off, then don't take it off. Even if you're ugly, I still like you." Xiaoka was telling the truth. She liked the male thief as a person. She didn't know what he looked like, and he always wore that stiff mask in front of her, but Xiaoka liked him just the way she liked him. "Haha, then you can treat me as an ugly monster." Lin Yi smiled. Although Xiaoka said that, she still quickened her steps and brought Lin Yi to her room. Xiaoka was very excited. This was the second time the male thief came to find her, and this was a good start. After entering the room, Xiaoka happily made a cup of tea for Lin Yi and sat beside Lin Yi. "How come you have time to find me today? It seems like you're having a hard time. So this is for you." Lin Yi handed the small suitcase to Xiaoka. "What's this?" Xiaoka paused and took the suitcase, opening it. The moment she opened it, her eyes filled with a green light. "American dollars. So much. For me?" Yi nodded. "Wow. Male thief, you're too good to me." Xiaoka hugged Lin Yi and kissed Lin Yi's mask. "I love you so much." Lin Yi was a bit speechless. This Xiaoka treated the male thief and Lin Yi completely differently. Last time when he used Lin Yi's identity to give her money, she didn't seem happy at all, and even acted like he was plotting something against her. If it was the male thief, he would have thrown himself at her. This money came from illegal sources, from a drug dealer. You should have a way to exchange it, right? Lin Yi reminded. "That's no problem. We're from the thief's sect. Dealing with this kind of money is no problem at all." Xiaoka said nonchalantly. $1.5 million? Haha, that's great. It'll be enough for a long time. You can use it first. I'll send you more if I have this kind of money in the future. Lin, you wouldn't mind cashing in again. I'm leaving now. Ah, you're leaving already. Xiaoke was a bit disappointed, but when she thought about how the male thief came to give her money, she felt sweet inside. He still cared about her, after all. Otherwise, why would he think of her first after robbing a drug dealer? And, right, does the thief sect, do you have a special channel for information? I'm looking for some rare items. Do you have a way? Lin Yi was about to leave when he remembered something. Of course, I can help you keep an eye out for what you're looking for. Xiaoke was overjoyed. She was afraid that the male thief would look for her if he didn't need anything. As long as they established a connection, wouldn't it be easy to meet him in the future? Chromatic steel, a type of multicolored steel. Lin Yi said, there's also blue crystal and pure yellow jade. These three things. Shortcut key, shortcut key. Enter, next page, shortcut key, target equals, underscore blank. Chapter 1945. Date, October 20th. Oh, okay, I'll keep an eye out for you. Xiaoke didn't have any suspicions after hearing what Lin Yi said. The male thief wouldn't look for normal things so seriously, so it was normal that she hadn't even heard of some of them before. But how do I contact you if I have any news? Xiaoke's eyes flashed with cunningness. As long as she got the male thief's contact number, she could call her often. Lin Yi wanted to give her his number, but he remembered that it was registered with his ID. What if Xiaoke checked it and found out who he was? So Lin Yi said, how about this? I'll come back after a while. I see. Okay then. Xiaoke was a little disappointed, but the male thief agreeing to come back was much better than never seeing him again. I'll be going then. Lin Yi saw the reluctance in Xiaoke's eyes and sighed. Okay. Xiaoke nodded. Lin Yi turned around and walked towards the door. Male thief. Xiaoke couldn't help but call out again. What's wrong? Lin Yi turned around. I like you. Xiaoke had said these words countless times in her dream, although she confessed to Lin Yi before. She couldn't help but say it again when she saw him again. Lin Yi's footsteps paused, but he didn't say anything. He shook his head and quickly left the room, disappearing without a trace. Xiaoke, on the other hand, stared at Lin Yi's disappearing silhouette. Lost in thought, Lin Yi had no choice but to ask for Xiaoke's help. These three items were too precious, and although Fatty Lai had been asking around for them, there wasn't any news. The blue crystal was something that could only be found by chance, and as for the pure yellow jade, he didn't know where it was either. There was no news about Kai Gang either, so Lin Yi could only try his luck and ask for Xiaoke's help. After leaving the orphanage, Lin Yi went back to the car and took off his mask. He called Sun Jingyi directly. Jingyi, where are you? I'm in Songshan now. Lin Yi said, you're already here? I'm at home. Tell me a place, and I'll go right away. Sun Jingyi said, let's go to your home. Some things can't be done in public. Lin Yi said, Sun Jingyi blinked and blushed. Some things can't be done in public? What did that mean? Could it be that Lin Yi wanted to? With that thought, Sun Jingyi couldn't help but blush. Could it be that Lin Yi wanted to exercise his right to let his lover do it? Ugh, let's call Wu Qintian too. Lin Yi couldn't see Sun Jingyi's expression, so he didn't know what she was thinking. Huh? Wu Qintian? Sun Jingyi was even more dumbfounded. Why would Lin Yi call Wu Qintian? Could it be that he wanted to do 3P? Xiao Xiao told her that she wanted to do 3P with Lin Yi. Could it be that Lin Yi really wanted to do it after tasting the sweetness? But giving Sun Jingyi to Lin Yi was fine, but giving it to Wu Qintian? Wasn't that asking for her death? Yeah, what's wrong? Lin Yi blinked, noticing that Sun Jingyi's tone wasn't right. Wu Qintian, that's not too good, right? Sun Jingyi may look like a strong woman in public, but in front of Lin Yi, she looked like a retard. Not good? That's right. Lin Yi thought about it. He wanted to ask Sun Jingyi about her practitioner's arts, Although Wu Chintian wasn't an outsider, it wouldn't be convenient. Linny nodded. All right, I won't call him then. Phew. Son, Jinny let out a breath of relief. Huh, that's not right. Lin Yi suddenly remembered that he didn't tell Sun Jinny why he was looking for her. How could she know? So, what did she mean by her words just now? With that thought, Lin Yi asked with a weird expression, Jinny, you don't want me to call Wu Chintian. What do you mean? Didn't you want to do that with me? I'm not even ready yet. Why are you looking for Wu Chintian? I'm not that kind of person. Sun Jingy panicked when she heard that Lin Yi was looking for Wu Chintian again. The misunderstanding between the two was because they couldn't see each other. If Lin Yi could see Sun Jingy, he would be able to guess what she misunderstood. And if Sun Jingy could see the weird expression on Lin Yi's face, she would know that she misunderstood him. But they couldn't see each other's expressions, and they could only guess from their words. And so, the misunderstanding grew bigger and bigger, and Sun Jingy exploded. Although Lin Yi was strong, and she had feelings for him, but even if she had feelings for him, she couldn't just humiliate herself like that, could she? With him, although she wasn't ready, she was willing. But with Wu Chintian, she might as well kill herself. Wah. Lin Yi didn't know what to do when he heard Sun Jingy's sudden outburst, but he finally understood why Sun Jingy misunderstood him. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Jingy, what does this have to do with being promiscuous? I went to you to ask about House Sun's arts, and as for Wu Chintian, it was to discuss your future plans. But I thought that although Wu Chintian isn't an outsider, it's better to keep your arts a secret, so I didn't go to him. Did you misunderstand something? Sun Jingy's face reddened even more. She wanted to find a hole to hide in. No way. She misunderstood. Furthermore, the misunderstanding was so thorough. How shameful. But luckily, Sun Jingy knew that Lin Yi couldn't see her expression. So she coughed and said, I didn't misunderstand. What I mean is, I've never let anyone enter my room. Yes, only people I like can enter. So Wu Chintian can't come. Yes, that's it. Hearing Sun Jingy's explanation, Lin Yi didn't purposely expose her. It was funny when he thought about it. Sun Jingy thought that he was going to ask Wu Chintian to do it with her. Was he that shameless? Oh, okay. Okay, can I come? Lin Yi asked. You are my half-lover, so others can't come, but you can come. Sun Jingy said a little embarrassedly. Although she didn't directly admit that Lin Yi was the one she liked, it was a silent agreement. Plen tips, target equals _blank. Chapter 1946. Heh, then you wait for me. Lin Yi found that Sun Jingy, this little girl, was really interesting. On the surface, she seemed to be strong. In fact, she was still a little girl who hadn't grown up. Her disguise was just to protect herself. The fickleness of human relationships in a big family made her learn to protect herself from an early age. And Sun Jingy nodded shyly. Her disguise had already been seen through by Lin Yi, so Sun Jingy wouldn't be so tired to protect herself in front of Lin Yi. She was like a wandering child who found a harbor to shelter from the wind. This feeling was very comfortable. Half an hour later, Lin Yi came to the community where Sun Jingy rented. This was an apartment area. Although Lin Yi knew the address, he had never been here before. Parking the car downstairs, Lin Yi took the elevator upstairs and rang the doorbell of Sun Jingy's house. After a while, Sun Jingy's voice came from inside. Who is it? It's me, Lin Yi, said Lin Yi. The door was opened, and Sun Jingy looked at Lin Yi with some surprise. You're here? Lin Yi looked at Sun Jingy, and a slight smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. This little girl was obviously wearing pajamas at home, but her face was carefully made up. Obviously, she dressed up for his arrival. This made Lin Yi feel surprised and helpless. Sun Jingy Did it become real? Is it the pressure from the Sun family, or is it Sun Jingyi's own intention? Lin Yi didn't like the kind of purposeful interaction. If Sun Jingyi approached him on the idea of old man Sun, then Lin Yi would feel uncomfortable. Make yourself look more innocent. It's quite pleasing to the eye. It's much better than the mature look you used to have, Lin Yi said. The company has been sold. I have nothing to do. Of course, I won't dress up anymore. Sun Jingyi listened to Lin Yi's words and was a little happy. Am I really beautiful today? Indeed. Lin Yi nodded and said, but the next time I come, you don't have to dress up. There's no need. You're already pretty good looking. Sun Jingyi's thoughts were exposed by Lin Yi, and she immediately felt a little embarrassed. She said, I went out to buy food. That's why I put on makeup. Do you think it's because of you? Shameless. Hell, what about food? I happen to be a little hungry. Lin Yi said, food. I've finished eating. Sun Jingyi snorted. Finished eating? Lin Yi looked at Sun Jingyi with a smile that wasn't a smile. I've really finished eating. I've thrown away the packaging. Sun Jingyi said, Book C Pavilion. Oh, where did you throw the packaging? Let me see what you're eating. I'll go buy it too. I don't know what to eat anyway. Lin Yi said, seriously, Lin Yi, are you doing this on purpose? Why are you so annoying? Sun Jingyi saw that Lin Yi was deliberately making fun of her. She simply stopped pretending and said angrily, I dressed up for you. Okay, are you satisfied? Ugh. Lin Yi didn't expect to make Sun Jingyi go berserk twice in one day. He suddenly felt a little embarrassed. He touched his chin and smiled bitterly. Jingyi, I'm just joking. Me too. Sun Jingyi said, hee hee, okay, let's get down to business. Right, can you transfer some of your true qi to me? Lin Yi asked, my true qi? Transfer to you? After Sun Jingyi was slightly stunned, her face became extremely strange. Are you serious? What's wrong? Lin Yi saw Sun Jingyi's expression, and he faintly felt that there seemed to be something that he had neglected. When the people of our Sun family reach the first level, true qi can only be used by one person. If we can't reach the second level, then we can only transfer true qi to this person for the rest of our lives. Sun Jingyi said, don't you know? Lin Yi had heard of this situation, but he ignored this condition before. He thought that it was okay for Sun Jingyi to transfer some true qi, but now it seemed that if he wanted Sun Jingyi's true qi, it was equivalent to binding Sun Jingyi's lifetime happiness. Before Lin Yi made up his mind to accept this girl, he definitely couldn't do such a reckless thing. Therefore, Lin Yi suddenly felt a little embarrassed. I forgot about this, but don't get me wrong. I just want to study your true qi. I don't mean anything else. I see. Sun Jingyi breathed a sigh of relief, but at the same time, she was a little disappointed. She was even thinking that if Lin Yi insisted, would she listen to him and transfer her true qi to him? In that case, she could rely on him openly because she had pinned her lifetime happiness on Lin Yi. Sun Jingyi, could only serve Lin Yi for the rest of her life. So, if after you transfer your true qi to me, your true qi will automatically become the same as mine, then the true qi that you produce in the future will automatically become this kind of true qi? Lin Yi suddenly thought of a very important question and asked quickly, that's right. Sun Jingyi nodded. This mental cultivation of our Sun family is very strange. It is completely an auxiliary mental cultivation. Once the true qi in my body becomes your true qi, then no matter how much true qi I have, it will be the same kind of true qi. So that's how it is. There was a hint of understanding and joy in Lin Yi's eyes. If it was really like what Sun Jingyi said, then there was no need for him to study Sun Jingyi's true qi. No wonder he felt that the true qi in Grandma Sun's mind didn't have any evil intentions, and there was a familiar feeling. It turned out that this feeling didn't come from Sun Jingyi, but from Falbert. Since Grandma Sun was Falbert's wife, then the true chi that came out of Grandma Sun was naturally the same as Falbert's true chi. After thinking about this, Lin Yi secretly scolded himself for being stupid. He actually gave up what was close at hand and sought what was far away. Didn't he know everything when he tested Falbert's true chi? Yeah, what's wrong? Sun Jingyi saw that Lin Yi seemed to be very happy, and she was somewhat puzzled. Hee Jingyi, thank you helped me solve a big problem. Lin Yi laughed. So your Sun family's mental cultivation is so strange. No wonder I can't see through your strength. From the moment Lin Yi met Sun Jingyi, he couldn't see through her strength. It could only be said that Sun Jingyi's mental cultivation belonged to the swordsman, but it wasn't completely swordsman. She didn't have a strength level. It was completely an auxiliary mental cultivation. Well, it's nothing. Sun Jingyi shook her head. She didn't understand what she had helped Lin Yi with. Oh, right. Jingyi, can you give me a copy of your mental cultivation? Lin Yi suddenly thought that if he let Grandma Sun continue, could she continue to help Falbert? Target equals _blank. Chapter 1947. Date, October 20th. This is possible, but only the people of our Sun family can practice the Heart Sutra. Others can't practice it. Sun Jingyi wasn't very secretive about the family's Heart Sutra. After all, the Sun family also gave this Heart Sutra to the people of the Wu family to practice, but it ended in failure. The final conclusion was that this Heart Sutra was only effective for the people of the Sun family. Others couldn't practice it. So in this way, this Heart Sutra wasn't important, and there was no confidentiality. The people who were in high demand were the children of the Sun family. It's okay. I just want to study it. Lin Yi said, Okay, then you wait. I'll send it to you via text message. As Sun Jingyi said this, she took out her mobile phone, found a file, and sent it directly to Lin Yi. Lin Yi's mobile phone immediately sounded a notification that he had received an email. Lin Yi was a little speechless. In his opinion, these Inner Force Sutra were all written on bamboo slips and sheepskin scrolls. At the very least, it was a thread-bound book. Sun Jingyi's Heart Sutra was good. It was directly an e-book. However, this was also a product of the development of the times. Lin Yi thought that he was lagging behind. Originally, Lin Yi also wanted to help Sun Jingyi improve some strength, but he thought that if his true chi went to Sun Jingyi, would it cause changes to Sun Jingyi's true chi? If Sun Jingyi's true chi became the same as his own, then Lin Yi would be in trouble. Thank you. Lin Yi saved the Heart Sutra in his mobile phone and said sincerely, Right, Jingyi, what are your plans for the future? Lin Yi knew that Sun Jingyi's company had been sold, and she had nothing to do at the moment. I don't know. I don't want to go back to the Sun family, and I don't want to work hard to start a business alone. Speaking of this, Sun Jingyi smiled self-deprecatingly and said, You also saw it. A girl with no background. I also don't have a strong man to protect me. My business is always bullied, just like last time. Ha! Don't you have Wu Qintian helping you now? Whoever dares to bully you, that kid will slap them to death with one palm. Lin Yi laughed. It's mainly because it's too tiring to manage a company alone. And now I don't need to prove anything. Sun Jingyi said, In the past, starting a business was for the Sun family to see. Let Grandpa and the others feel that I'm not just a victim of profit in the Sun family. Instead, he could be independent. But now I find that this idea is somewhat wrong. In any case, I can't do too much on my own after so many years. It's still a small company. Lin Yi knew about Sun Jingyi's pitiful life, so he nodded in silence. But you can't always stay here, right? I don't know. But in this noble house meeting, I've understood something. Sun Jingyi said, that is, the strong are respected. In the eyes of the noble houses and hidden houses, only the strength of a practitioner represents everything. Thinking about it, It was laughable that I wanted to use business to prove my strength. That's right. The foundation of a noble house and hidden house is the strength and number of practitioners. Lin said, "Why, do you want to train too? Haven't I always been training?" Jingyi smiled bitterly, thinking back to my grandpa's attitude during the meeting. He wanted me to marry Wu Qintian, but when he saw how you destroyed House Yu so domineeringly, he told me to get on your good side. But when he heard that you pissed off a hidden house, and they sent 3 Earth class after you, he froze my bank account and told me to stay away from you. At the end of the day, in their eyes, I'm still a commodity. I thought that Grandpa treated me differently, but even though he was nice to me, family isn't as important in the face of the family's interests. Jingyi smiled bitterly, thinking about Grandpa's attitude back then. How could Lin not understand what Sun Jingyi was saying? Noble houses were the same as those sections. Thinking back to how excited Crystal Candy was when she found out about Xiao Xiao's constitution, and how she was willing to lower herself to talk terms with a mystic like him so that she could become the heir of the Ice Palace. Sometimes it can't be helped. Your grandpa may be an old fox, but he did it for the sake of the family. Lin said, in an old man like him, the family's benefits are above everything else, so you can't say that he's wrong. Some things can't be right or wrong. Yes, so in order to escape this fate, I have to become a strong practitioner. Jingyi said, I want to work hard on my training. Once I reach the 2nd stage of House Sun's arts, I'll be one of the core members of House Sunday. Even my grandpa won't make me do things I don't like anymore. If I reach the 5th stage, then I'll be able to transfer qi to any practitioner, and there won't be any restrictions. My identity will be different by then. Of course, the 5th stage is just a dream for House Sun, and no one has reached it yet. Jingyi said, your arts are too weird, and you're not leveling up between Sky, Earth, Mystic, and Yellow, so I want to help you, but I can't. Lin said, I can't raise your strength as fast as Wu Qintian and the others. I know. Sun Jingyi nodded and said, House Sun's arts can only be improved by absorbing qi from the surroundings. There's no other way. Lin nodded. The energy in his body was pure energy, but it wasn't pure qi. It was pure qi that was converted from the qi of heaven and earth through the art of dragon mastery. Although this qi had the same effect as the qi of heaven and earth, and could be converted into other types of qi for others to use, the prerequisite was that the art of dragon mastery was the art of conversion. So, the all-purpose qi combined with the arts was equivalent to the qi of the surroundings and could be used by others. It wasn't like the normal qi of the surroundings, which could be directly absorbed and refined by the practitioner. The two had the same effect, but the essence was different. If Sun Jingyi absorbed his qi, she would probably become like him. She didn't know the art of dragon mastery, so naturally she couldn't transform qi. In this case, Sun Jingyi's qi could only be used by him in the future. To put it bluntly, Sun Jingyi's body was like an energy storage device. Her body could absorb the qi of the surroundings, and this qi could be absorbed and refined by other practitioners. Of course, this was only Lin Yi's guess. Lin Yi still had to research to know the specifics. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1948. Date, October 20th. What about your other brothers and sisters? Will they become the bargaining chip of the Sun family's interests? Lin Yi asked. I have no father or mother. If someone needs to be sacrificed, naturally, I will be the first to be sacrificed. Sun Jingyi smiled bitterly. Moreover, I am relatively powerful among the cultivators of this generation. I have cultivated to the great perfection of the 1st level. It is just in line with the conditions for other families to marry the Sun family. So, your parents... I heard from Sun Yikai. When Lin Yi said this, he paused and didn't continue. This topic was just casually mentioned by Lin Yi because of Sun Jingyi's words, but after saying it, he regretted it a little. After all, this was someone else's sad past. It was a bit abrupt for Lin E to mention it. They're all gone now. It's fine. I'm used to it. Jingyi smiled bitterly. I was too young back then. I didn't even get to see my parents. The only thing I know is this little jade pendant they left me. Lin E said, but I was too young back then. As Sun Jingyi said this, she took off the small jade pendant on her chest and rubbed it in her hand. It could be seen that she cherished this jade pendant very much. Pure topaz. Seeing Sun Jingyi's jade pendant, Lin Yi's eyes slightly focused. He didn't expect that the jade pendant on Sun Jingyi's chest was actually pure topaz. It was one of the materials he needed to refine the jade pendant's base. Pure topaz? You know it? Sun Jingyi saw Lin Yi's excited expression and suddenly froze. Even if the material of this jade pendant was precious, it seemed that Lin Yi wouldn't be so surprised, right? Can I have a look? Asked Lin Yi. Of course. Sun Jingyi nodded and handed the jade pendant to Lin Yi. It really is pure topaz. Lin Yi looked at the pure yellow jade pendant in his hand and took a deep breath. Although he really wanted to keep it for himself, he also knew that this was the only thing Sun Jingyi's parents had left for her. Even if he needed it, he would be too embarrassed to ask Sun Jingyi for it. However, Lin Yi was still very fond of the jade pendant in front of him. You seem to like this jade pendant. Sun Jingyi saw the possessiveness in Lin Yi's eyes and was very surprised. Lin Yi did not lack money. Although this pure topaz was rare, it was not a priceless treasure. In the eyes of these big families and cultivators, it was nothing. Perhaps this pure topaz could be sold for a good price at the auction, but in the eyes of the Sun family and Old Man Sun, it was just a good accessory. These people didn't even covet it. Lin Yi nodded and didn't hide it. To tell you the truth, I need pure topaz to refine something. This pure topaz, if it wasn't something your parents left for you, I would definitely ask you for it. Sun Jingyi didn't expect Lin Yi to need pure topaz. Although she wanted to help Lin Yi, she thought that this jade pendant was the only thing left for her by her parents. If she wanted to find clues about her parents, she could only use this jade pendant. Therefore, Sun Jingyi really couldn't give it to Lin Yi. I'm sorry. I want to find news of my parents through this jade pendant one day. So, I understand. That's why I said that. Lin Yi picked up the pure topaz and prepared to return it to Sun Jingyi. Although there was still a trace of reluctance, Lin Yi could still pick it up and put it down. However, when Lin Yi just wanted to return the jade pendant to Sun Jingyi, he couldn't help but let out an S sound. What's wrong? Sun Jingyi didn't understand why Lin Yi was suddenly surprised. This jade pendant, Lin Yi was in desperate need of pure topaz, so he checked it more carefully. Just when he wanted to return it to Sun Jingyi, he suddenly found that there was a very small crack on this jade pendant. If it weren't for Lin Yi's sharp eyes and the direction of the light, it would be absolutely difficult to find it. What's wrong? Sun Jingyi looked at Lin Yi's strange face and asked quickly, this jade pendant seems to be two halves put together? Lin Yi put the jade pendant in front of his eyes and carefully observed it for a long time before saying so. Put together? Sun Jingyi was slightly stunned. She quickly moved her head over and followed Lin Yi's gaze to the jade pendant. She couldn't help but exclaim because on this jade pendant there was indeed a small line. This line wasn't irregular, but it was straight, as if it was cut and then pasted back together. Sun Jingyi looked at the crack on the jade pendant in surprise. She even forgot her current position, and her face was close to Lin Yi's. It was a little ambiguous. It seems that it was really cut and then pieced back together, but it was done very carefully. It's not obvious. If I didn't desperately need pure topaz, I probably wouldn't be able to see it so carefully. Lin Yi said, this crack couldn't be seen without looking at it carefully against the light. This discovery surprised Sun Jingyi. It could be said that she grew up wearing this jade pendant. Although she often played with it, she didn't find the crack on this jade pendant. In Sun Jingyi's eyes, This should be a keepsake. So she didn't think that this jade pendant was two pieces stuck together. Then why did he do this? Could it be that this jade pendant was broken before and repaired? Sun Jingyi also looked at the jade pendant in Lin Yi's hand strangely. I don't know, but the possibility of natural damage is relatively small. Even if this jade pendant is broken, it is impossible to fall into such a neat two halves. Moreover, this crack is in the middle of the side of the jade pendant. How powerful is this to have such an effect? Lin Yi shook his head and denied Sun Jingyi's guess. So you're saying that it's man-made? Jingyi asked. It's very likely, but I don't know why it was done, Lin Yi said, but I have a speculation. What speculation? Sun Jingyi asked anxiously. It was related to the news of her parents. She was naturally very anxious. If I guess correctly, there should be something in this jade pendant. Lin Yi said, this jade pendant was cut by a superb method and then repaired together. Maybe something was placed in this jade pendant. Ah, so there may be something left for me by my parents? Sun Jingyi listened to Lin Yi's words and suddenly became a little excited. Of course, this is just my speculation. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Moreover, this jade pendant is broken. Obviously, it is not easy to repair. But I really don't want your pure topaz. Lin Yi's words caused Sun Jingyi to roll her eyes. Of course, I know you don't. If you explain like this, it seems like you are exposing yourself. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1949. Date October 20th. Ugh, hee. Lin Yi was a little embarrassed and said, Okay, I'll return it to you. As Lin Yi spoke, he turned his head and saw Sun Jingyi's neckline. He saw a touch of spring inside, because when Sun Jingyi took off the jade pendant, she unbuttoned a button on her shirt, so the spring inside the neckline could be easily seen. My chest is better than the jade pendant. Sun Jingyi took the jade pendant, but she saw Lin Yi's lustful gaze. However, what surprised Sun Jingyi was that she didn't feel disgusted with Lin Yi's gaze, so she couldn't help but tease. Lin Yi was exposed by Sun Jingyi, and he was very embarrassed. He laughed and said, They are all very good. Which one is the prettiest? Jingyi asked, not giving up. You are the best. Lin Yi smiled. He and Sun Jingyi were together. From the beginning, they had been joking all the way until now. There were no taboos, so they could let it go. That's more like it. You have good taste as a lover. Sun Jingyi snorted. You help me crush this jade pendant. If there is really something inside, I'll give this jade pendant to you. I only want the thing inside. Jingyi, I'm just saying. You don't have to worry about it. This is something your parents left for you. How can I destroy it and ask for it? Lin Yi said sternly, Moreover, I'm just guessing. I can't say if there is anything in it. Of course, I know you are not that kind of person. I really want to know if there is a secret in it. Jingyi said, There's definitely something strange about this pendant, so I'm getting impatient myself. If there really is something in there, then it must be a clue my parents left for me. I have to get it. Looking at Sun Jingyi's determined gaze, Lin Yi knew that she wasn't just saying. She really wanted to know if there were any secrets in the jade pendant. Therefore, after pondering for a moment, Lin Yi nodded and agreed. Okay, but it's better to find a professional to handle this kind of thing. Master Guan had a friend who was an expert in jade carving. Master Guan asked him to help him. He should be able to repair it. You don't want this jade pendant? Lin Yi's reply made Sun Jingyi very surprised. This is something your parents left for you. No matter how much I want it, I can't take it for myself, right? Lin Yi said with a smile. Well, if there's something in there, if you don't have it, just fix it. Sun Jingyi said, Thank you in advance. Hearing Sun Jingyi's insistence, Lin Yi didn't refuse again. After all, he really needed this pure topaz. In Sun Jingyi's home, Lin Yi first called Guan Shuamin and asked him to give him the address of his old friend. Shuamin naturally told Lin Yi where his old friend lived without hesitation. He told the old friend that he had a friend who was both a teacher and a friend coming to visit, and that he needed Shuamin's help. After calling Guan Shuamin, Lin Yi called by Weitua. If he went to visit Guan Shuamin's old friend tonight, he might not be able to make it back to Shueshing tomorrow. He asked Bai Weitua to help him ask Boss Bai for half a day off. Bai Weitua already knew that Lin Yi had passed Boss Bai's test. So for Lin Yi's leave, Bai Weitua didn't hesitate to agree. Otherwise, without Boss Bai's permission, even if he was the class monitor, he wouldn't dare to simply agree. Let's go. We'll visit Mr. Liu tonight, Lin Yi said to Sun Jingyi after the phone call. All right. Jingyi was very impatient as well. She wanted to know what secrets were hidden within the pendant. So when Lin Yi called, she had already changed her clothes. Your clothes are similar to a student's. Now you look much more compatible with me, Lin Yi said while looking at Sun Jingyi with a smile. Yeah, to be your half-lover, you have to be more compatible. Otherwise people will think that you're my sugar baby, Sun Jingyi said with a smile. Then when can I be your complete lover? Lin Yi asked with a smile. Complete lover. Hee, it still needs to be observed, Sun Jingyi said. With Sun Jingyi, Lin Yi had a relaxed feeling that he had never felt before. The jokes between the two were also unrestrained, and Lin Yi didn't have to deliberately avoid anything. Just like when he looked at Sun Jingyi's chest, Sun Jingyi didn't think of shyness or anger, but asked him if he looked good. The old friend was called Lu Weishan, a retired professor of Songjiang Industry University. He lived in the family area of Songjiang Industry University. Lin Yi set the navigation, started the car, and went straight to Songjiang City. When they came out from Sun Jingyi's house, it was already 6 o'clock in the evening. Both of them hadn't eaten yet. Lin Yi didn't have to eat, but Sun Jingyi was worried about the secret in the jade pendant, so she didn't have the mood to eat. The car belonged to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, so when they got on the highway, Lin Yi drove at the speed limit. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1950. Date October 20th. Looking at the disappearing Jeep Cherokee, the young man started to slow down. He knew he couldn't overtake it anymore. On a professional track with the car's performance, overtaking the Jeep Cherokee shouldn't be a problem, but not here. No, I can't catch up. How can a Jeep drive so fast? Is he crazy? The young man frowned. He couldn't understand. Who was this person? It wasn't a professional sports car, but an off-road vehicle could reach 300 kilometers per hour. It was unbelievable. Bro, if that person represented our family in the competition, would our family gain more benefits in the upcoming Hidden House Summit? The young man wasn't thinking about how the Jeep could go so fast. He was thinking about the bigger picture. Yeah, if we let this person compete, we might win. The young man's eyes lit up, but we don't know his identity. We'll get someone to get the surveillance footage from the toll station and check the owner. The young man sighed and said, let's figure out his identity first. If we can work together, then that's the best. If he's related to our opponent, then our family will have an opponent at this summit. Okay. The young man nodded. Lin Yi didn't know that his driving skills were being watched as he continued to rush towards Songjiang. Sun Jingyi looked at the blurry scenery outside the car window and thought it was unbelievable. Wasn't this too fast? But she didn't feel scared. Was it because the person driving was Lin Yi? How can you drive so fast? Sun Jingyi was curious. This isn't a professional sports car. Otherwise, it could be even faster. Lin Yi said, there's nothing strange about it. I can even fly a plane. Have you seen a plane race before? You can race a plane? Sun Jingyi realized that the Lin Yi she knew was just the tip of the iceberg. Other than being a practitioner, he seemed to know a lot of things that she didn't understand. For example, medical skills, If there's a chance, I'll bring you around, and you'll know. Lin Yi said indifferently. Lin Yi took less than an hour to reach the destination that was supposed to take 2 hours. When the car entered Songjiang Industry University, it was past 7 o'clock in the evening. The car was stopped at the entrance of the family area. Lin Yi was neither a student nor a teacher here. Therefore, they didn't talk much nonsense with the guard. They parked directly in the parking space at the entrance of the family area and walked to Lu Weishan, Elder Lu's home with son Jingyi. He rang the doorbell. After a while, an old man's voice rang out. "Who is it?" "Hello, Elder Lu. I'm Lin Yi. Elder Guan introduced me to you," Lin Yi said respectfully. "Oh, you must be Lin Yi. Please come in." With that, the electronic door opened, and Lin Yi brought son Jingyi upstairs. Lu Weishan had already opened the door and waited for Lin Yi. "Elder Lu, I'm sorry to bother you so late," Lin Yi said apologetically. "Haha, don't say that. This old man has nothing to do all day long. My son and daughter-in-law have settled abroad. My godson and daughter aren't around. I have nothing to do every day. I just want to find something to do." Lu Weishan retired at home. As he said, there was nothing to do after dinner every night. "Then I won't be polite." Lin Yi came in and said to Lu Weishan, "My name is Lin Yi. This is my friend's son Jingyi. I'm here to trouble Elder Lu. I heard from Elder Guan that you're looking for pure topaz, right? I've already asked my friend in the jade industry to help you inquire, but there's no news yet. Don't worry. If there's news, I'll inform Elder Guan immediately. You don't have to come in person." Lu Weishan said, "Elder Lu, I'm here this time for another matter." As Lin Yi said this, he handed son Jingyi's jade pendant to Lu Weishan and said, "Elder Lu, look at this jade pendant." "Oh, pure topaz?" Lu Weishan saw that the jade pendant in Lin Yi's hand was pure topaz at a glance. He said with some surprise, "Have you found pure topaz?" "I found it. But this jade pendant is the only token that Sun Jingyi's parents left for her." As Lin Yi said this, he couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed. "I understand." Lu Weishan smiled slightly. "Then what do you want to do with this jade pendant?" "Elder Lu, look carefully at this jade pendant," Lin Yi said. "Look carefully?" Lu Weishan picked up the jade pendant and looked at it carefully against the light in the living room. But the next moment, Lu Weishan said with surprise, "This jade pendant is pieced together? It's a piece of jade that was cut and then pieced together again. Elder Lu, you noticed it too?" Lin Yi nodded. "The piecing method is very advanced. If I don't look carefully, I really can't see it." Lu Weishan said, "Little Yi, what do you mean by showing me this jade pendant? Elder Lu, can you cut this jade pendant again? It's best not to damage the jade pendant. I suspect that there's something hidden in it. Moreover, if there's nothing in it, it's best to piece it back together." Lin Yi said, "Oh, this is not a problem." Lu Weishan nodded without thinking. Obviously, this matter was not difficult for Lu Weishan. Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi were delighted after listening to Lu Weishan's words. They didn't expect such a complicated craft to be no problem in Lu Weishan's eyes. "Old man, what are you doing? There are guests in the house. Why are you still standing at the door?" While talking, an old lady with a kind face came over. Obviously, she was Lu Weishan's wife. "Hee, I forgot to enter the house when I was talking at the door. Old lady, you go and make some tea. These 2 children follow me to my study room. I will help you remove this jade pendant now." Lu Weishan finished talking to the old lady and turned to Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi. "Now, if it's troublesome, you don't have to do it today. Tomorrow is fine too," Lin Yi said. "It's okay. I'm idle now anyway." Lu Weishan waved his hand and said, "I still want to find something to do." Hearing Lu Weishan's insistence, Lin Yi didn't say anything else. Perhaps Lu Weishan really couldn't stay idle. Looking at his energetic appearance, Lin Yi knew that he was in good health. Lin Yi wasn't afraid that he would be too tired from working at night. In the study room, Lu Weishan sat on the workbench skillfully. He put the jade pendant under the microscope and observed the lines on it. Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi didn't dare to disturb him. They sat on the sofa and waited quietly. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1951. Date October 20th. After a while, Lu Weishan's wife, Chu Huifang, came into the study with a cup of fragrant tea. 2 kids have some tea. When old Lu is busy, he forgets about other things. Thank you, Grandma. Lin Yi took the teacup and said politely, Hee, you're welcome. I'm going out to watch TV. If you need more water, just call me. Don't be shy. Chu Huifang said, You're busy. Don't worry about us. Lin Yi said. Chu Huifang went out. Lu Weishan was just like what she said. When he was busy, he would forget about other things. However, Lin Yi had to admit that Lu Weishan's technical level was great. The jade pendant was quickly fiddled with in Lu Weishan's hands. Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi sat quietly and waited. They didn't talk because they were afraid that their words would affect Lu Weishan. After about 2 hours, the jade pendant was cut open. However, Lu Weishan also exclaimed in surprise, Hey, there's really something inside. There's really something inside. Lin Yi didn't expect his and Sun Jingyi's speculation to become a fact. Yes, this jade pendant is hollow. I have to cut it carefully. I have to cut along 4 circles to ensure that the thing inside is not destroyed, Lu Weishan said, but it's more difficult to do so. It may not be completed in a day or 2. Don't bother, Sun Jingyi suddenly said. Elder Lu, since there's something inside, it's fine as long as the thing inside is intact. It doesn't matter if the jade pendant outside is destroyed. Since Sun Jingyi already knew that there was something inside the jade pendant, then the jade pendant was not so important. It could be said that the jade pendant outside was only used to protect the thing inside. As long as the thing inside was taken out, then the jade pendant would be useless. Bubble. Book *. Moreover, Sun Jingyi also decided to give the jade pendant to Lin Yi. According to Lin Yi, it seemed that it didn't matter to him if the jade pendant was broken. He just wanted to use the jade pendant as a material to refine something. However, Sun Jingyi didn't ask much. Destroy it? Lu Weishan was slightly surprised. If it's destroyed, it can't be restored. It doesn't matter. I just want what's inside. The jade pendant will be given to Lin Yi, Sun Jingyi said. Lin Yi, can this jade pendant be damaged? Lu Weishan looked at Lin Yi in surprise. Yes, Lin Yi said, as long as it's pure topaz. It's fine, no matter if it's whole or broken. Lin Yi was going to use it to refine the space in the jade pendant. When the time came, it would be broken, so it didn't matter if it was broken or intact. Oh, so that's the case. That's easy. I have a few friends who used to carve pure topaz. The leftover pieces of broken jade are kept. I seem to be able to find some here. If you only want these broken pieces, then I can help you collect some. Lu Weishan listened to Guan Shuamin's words before and thought that Lin Yi wanted a whole piece of pure topaz. After all, everyone who asked for jade wanted a whole piece of pure topaz. Lu Weishan had never heard of anyone asking for broken pieces of jade. That's great. Lin Yi was suddenly surprised and happy. Sun Jingyi's pure topaz wasn't big. Lin Yi was afraid that it couldn't meet the refining conditions of the jade pendant. After all, Lin Yi had a qigong deviation because he replaced the body-tempering medicine last time. This time, when refining the space in the jade pendant, he must be more careful. When the number of raw materials was not enough, Lin Yi wouldn't easily try. Otherwise, if the raw materials went blind, it would be a small matter. If the jade pendant space was ruined, then it wouldn't be fun. but my remaining small pieces of broken jade should be kept in the self-sealing bag in the warehouse. I can't find them today. I can only help you find them slowly, Lu Weishan said, because there are too many things in the warehouse. It doesn't matter. There's no hurry, Lin Yi said. In addition to the pure topaz, Lin Yi also needed color steel and blue crystal powder. These two things weren't gathered yet. Even if Lin Yi got the pure topaz now, it would be useless, so he wasn't in a hurry. Well, if that's the case, then I will directly break this jade pendant, Lu Weishan said. Okay, Sun Jingyi nodded. She also couldn't wait to know what was in the jade pendant. It wasn't cut according to the lines, but it was dismantled by force. As long as the things inside were intact, it would be much easier. Lu Weishan directly used the cutting knife to cut around the jade pendant a few times, and the things inside the jade pendant were exposed. Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi were staring at the jade pendant in Lu Weishan's hand without blinking. Lin Yi was also very curious about the things inside the jade pendant, so he naturally wouldn't let it go at this time. Lu Weishan chiseled a few more times, and then used a pair of tweezers to pull slightly inside the jade pendant. He pulled out a folded piece of silk. The silk was very soft and thin. It was folded into a small piece and hidden in the jade pendant. If it wasn't for Lin Yi's accidental discovery, perhaps this piece of silk would have stayed in the jade pendant for a long time. This is it. After Lu Weishan pulled out the jade pendant, he didn't open it. Instead, he directly put it on the table and said to Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi, "Thank you, Elder Lu." Lin Yi quickly thanked him. It could be seen that Lu Weishan was an upright person. He didn't seem to have any interest in the content of the jade pendant. Instead, he turned to collect the pure topaz that was cut into small pieces on the workbench. It's nothing. It's just a piece of cake. Lu Weishan said indifferently, "Jingyi, open it and take a look." Lin Yi said. And Sun Jingyi looked at the jade pendant on the table, and she was very excited. This small piece of silk might have recorded the story of her parents and the mystery of her life experience. Regarding her parents, Sun Jingyi had asked her grandfather many times, but her grandfather avoided talking about it. Although Sun Jingyi was curious, she also saw that her grandfather might have some difficulties, so she didn't ask again. At this time, to be able to find clues from a piece of silk, Sun Jingyi's hands were slightly trembling. Carefully picking up the jade pendant, Sun Jingyi slowly opened it. She thought that this should be a letter written to her by her parents, but what she saw was a map. Map? In Sun Jingyi's view, this jade pendant shouldn't be a letter. It should be a kind of cultivation method, but she didn't expect it to be a map. This made her have an inexplicable feeling. She wanted to ask Lin Yi's opinion, but when she turned her head, she found that Lin Yi didn't look over. Sun Jingyi knew that Lin Yi might be trying to avoid suspicion. "Lin Yi, look at this. This is a map." Sun Jingyi took the initiative to hand the silk pendant in her hand to Lin Yi and said, since Sun Jingyi showed it to him, then Lin Yi didn't stand on ceremony. He reached out and took the silk pendant. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1952. As expected, a map came into view, but the next moment, Lin Yi's face turned into an expression of extreme shock. "This map," Lin Yi exclaimed subconsciously. "What's wrong? Is there something wrong with this map?" Sun Jingyi asked curiously. "This map, didn't you notice? It's only half of the map, not the whole." Lin Yi pointed at the edge of the map and said to Sun Jingyi, "As expected, this map is half." Sun Jingyi looked at where Lin Yi was pointing and saw that the edge of the map wasn't finished, as if it had been cut neatly. But what shocked Lin Yi wasn't that it was half of the map, but that Lin Yi had the other half of the map in his hands. After the test, Lin Yi and Zhao Qikun met a crazy weirdo in a cave, and he was the one who gave Lin Eva the map. The same material, the same drawing style, the same color. Lin Yi was completely sure that the half of the map in his hands was originally a whole map, and then it was cut in the middle. Lin Yi, why is your face so weird? Sun Jingyi looked at Lin Yi and asked curiously. It's not that my face is weird, but Lin Yi couldn't help but smile bitterly, hesitating. After all, the map wasn't his. It could be said that the weirdo had left it in his hands. But now, he was sure that the weirdo had some sort of connection with Sun Jingyi's parents. Could it be that Sun Jingyi's parents were the weirdo's disciples? Otherwise, why would Sun Jingyi have that half of the map? And the weirdo had said that the other half of the map was in the hands of his disciple. So, since this thing was related to Sun Jingyi, Lin Yi didn't hide it anymore, and said, because in my hands, there's another half of the map. Sun Jingyi looked at Lin Yi in surprise. She didn't expect that Lin Yi was surprised, because Lin Yi had the other half of the map in his hands. This answer left her at a loss. Lin Yi had the map. Where did his map come from? He knew my parents? I will explain this to you slowly. The map is not with me. It is in Donghu's villa. Lin Yi said, I will find it for you after I go back. Okay. Sun Jingyi felt that it was a little unbelievable. She had just found half of the map in the jade pendant, and the other half appeared in Lin Yi's hands. Wasn't this too much of a coincidence? However, when he thought about it, he was quite lucky. If this map was in the hands of someone else, it would be impossible for them to return it to him so easily. However, Lin Yi didn't seem to have any intention of keeping it for himself. Okay, it's all collected. Lu Weishan smiled and handed a self-sealing bag to Lin Yi and said, I will pay attention to the other pure topaz broken jade for you. As for this map, I won't participate. Thank you, Elder Lu. Lin Yi quickly took the self-sealing bag. He said with surprise and joy, Well, it's getting late. You should go back early. I think you have more important things to do. Lu Weishan said, I won't keep you. When I find the broken jade, I will contact you again. Okay, Elder Lu, then we will leave. Lin Yi nodded and left Elder Lu's residence with Sun Jingyi. It could be seen that Sun Jingyi seemed to have a lot of words to say to him, so Lin Yi didn't do too much. After going downstairs and leaving the family area and getting in the car, Sun Jingyi couldn't wait to ask, Lin Yi, tell me, how did you get this half of the map? Do you know my parents? How can I know them? Lin Yi said with some helplessness, if I knew them, why wouldn't I tell you? This map of mine is actually not mine. It was given to me by someone else. Someone else? Sun Jingyi said. Who is that? It's a strange man like an old madman. As Lin Yi said this, he told Sun Jingyi about the scene of encountering the strange man in the cave after returning from the Ice Palace trial. Then he said, at that time, the strange man regarded me as his apprentice and gave me this map. Then he asked me for the other half of the map and took me on a treasure hunt. I didn't want to keep this thing for myself. I wanted to find a chance to return it to him, but he ran away in the middle of the night. So, the apprentice of the strange man, maybe my father? Sun Jingyi suddenly thought of the origin of the map on her body. It's possible, but even if it's not, it's still a big deal. Lin Yi said, but now, since you also have half of the map, I will give this map to you. Don't you want to know what treasure is in this map? Sun Jingyi looked at Lin Yi with some surprise. She didn't know why Lin Yi gave it to her so easily. Hey, whatever treasure there is, it belongs to your father and the strange man. Since this jade pendant is with you, it's yours now. Lin Yi said with a smile, if it was someone else, I might really snatch it, but you are my lover. Of course, I won't snatch it from you. Okay. Thank you, Sun Jingyi said sincerely. Actually, I don't really want that treasure. I just want to find some clues about my parents. I really don't like the current Sun family. They are too utilitarian. Everything they do is for the family's benefit. Since the strange man is a heaven stage master, then the treasure, he said, is definitely not bad. After you find it, it may be good for you. Linny said, it's just that I don't know where this map is. It should be a map near a certain mountain range, but it is not marked on it. If you want to find it, it's best to compare the situation on this map with the maps of other mountains. It could be seen that Sun Jingyi couldn't wait to find the place on the map. But Lin Yi understood how she was feeling. If it were him in her shoes, he'd be rushing to look for clues as well when he suddenly received news of his parents' whereabouts. All the way back to Dongha, Linny parked the car at the door of the villa and asked, Jingyi, do you want to go in and sit down? I won't go. Sun Jingyi hesitated and said, it's already past 1 o'clock in the evening. It's too late. You give me the map. I will find a hotel to stay in. Tomorrow, I will rent a house in Dongha and study this map. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1953. Date, October 20th. That's good. Lin Yi nodded. At this time, the miss and Shu should be asleep. It wasn't convenient to disturb them. So he said, then wait for me. Lin Yi got off the car and entered the mansion. As expected, the miss and Shu were asleep, but Faubert and Grandma Sun hadn't rested yet. The two of them were sitting on the sofa and chatting. Faubert seemed to be telling Grandma Sun stories from when they were young. Little E, you're back. Faubert saw Lin Yi come in and was surprised. Lin Yi went to help Grandma Sun ask about the Sun family's mental cultivation. Faubert was naturally happy to see him back. Although Faubert didn't think that Lin Yi would come back on the same day, he still waited for Lin Yi with Grandma Sun until it was very late. Moreover, they were also talking about things from when they were young. As they chatted, they lost track of time. In the blink of an eye, it was already 1 o'clock. And, Faubert, you guys haven't slept yet. Lin Yi was a little surprised. Not yet. How is it, little E, about Luo Yin? Although Faubert felt that it wasn't good for Lin Yi to ask him about these things when he just got home, he still asked because he was worried about Grandma Sunday. It's done, but there's something I need to do now. Wait for me for a while. We'll talk when I come back. Lin Yi smiled. Okay. When Faubert heard that there was news, he was immediately excited and nodded repeatedly. Grandma Sun's eyes also flashed a trace of anticipation. Before, Faubert told her so many things from the past, but she couldn't remember anything. This feeling was very uncomfortable. If Lin Yi could help her recover her memory, it would be really great. Lin Yi returned to the room and found the half of the map from the cabinet in the room. Then he quickly left the mansion and went to the car. He said to Sun Jingyi, this is it. Take a look and see if it's one of them. Sun Jingyi excitedly took the half of the map that Lin Yi handed over and put it together with the half in her hand. The result was exactly the same as before. It really is a... Jingyi's breathing quickened as she looked at the map in her hands. Perhaps this map would be able to help them. He would be able to find clues about his parents. Let me send you to the hotel. You can study it slowly when the time comes, Lin Yi said with a smile as he looked at Sun Jingyi, who was engrossed in the map. I'm sorry. I was a little anxious. Sun Jingyi quickly said, it's nothing. If it were me, it will be the same. Lin Yi shook his head and started the car. There was a 3-star hotel nearby called Shueshang Hotel. It was developed by the same developer as Shueshang District, and the environment was not bad. The price was not expensive. Of course, this hotel was targeted at young couples. If the price was too expensive, ordinary people would not be able to afford it. After sending Sun Jingyi to the hotel, when Sun Jingyi got off the car, she was a little hesitant. She seemed to have something to say. What's wrong? Lin Yi asked curiously. Lin Yi, if I find the location of this map, can you accompany me? Can you come with me for a bit? Jingyi knew that this request was a little too much, but she couldn't help but think about it. Lin Yi was the only one who could go with her. Ugh. Looking at Sun Jingyi's expectant eyes, Lin Yi hesitated and said, well, if I have nothing to do, I will accompany you. Actually, I also want to know what the treasure that the weird man said is. And great. When Sun Jingyi heard Lin Yi agree, she was a little excited. If that treasure is useless to me, I will give it to you. Oh, that's not necessary. I don't want any reward for accompanying you. I just regard you as my friend, said Lin Yi. Just a friend? Sun Jingyi squinted her eyes. Lovers should have some substantial progress, right? Lin Yi also looked at Sun Jingyi with a smile. When Lin Yi was unprepared, Sun Jingyi quickly kissed the side of Lin Yi's face. Then her face was obviously red, but she thought that Lin Yi wouldn't see it because the sky was dark. She pretended to be calm and said, is it okay now? Lin Yi didn't guard against Sun Jingyi, so she succeeded in a sneak attack. He touched the cheek that was kissed, and he suddenly felt a little dumbfounded. Is this playing with fire? It was just a joke. Now, the relationship between the two people seems to be even more unclear than before. However, Lin Yi often joked with Sun Jingyi. At this time, after being kissed, Lin Yi also let it go. Isn't this too little? Why don't I stay here tonight? Go to hell. Sun Jingyi was joking with Lin Yi. At this time, when she heard that Lin Yi was actually asking for a foot after taking an inch, her heart suddenly tightened. I am not ready yet, and he is already getting a room? So Sun Jingyi subconsciously retorted and was about to get out of the car. However, when she looked up and saw Lin Yi's evil and mischievous smile, Sun Jingyi knew that she was fooled. She snorted and said, then you can come up. You really want me to go up? Lin Yi asked with a smile. Let's go. I'm going to study the map. Sun Jingyi found that in front of Lin Yi, it seemed that she had never taken advantage of him. It seemed that she had taken advantage of him every time. But in fact, Lin Yi didn't take her seriously at all. Seeing that Sun Jingyi entered the hotel safely, Lin Yi turned around and left, returning to the villa. After returning, Lin Yi found that not only did Faubert and Grandma Sun not sleep, but they were even more energetic, obviously waiting for Lin Yi to come back. Lily, you're back. Faubert saw that Lin Yi came back and quickly stood up, giving up the seat next to Grandma Sunday. Seeing Faubert's nervous look, Lin Yi didn't know what to say, but he also understood Faubert's mood, smiled and said, Faubert, don't worry. Let me see your Nigong first. Mine? Faubert was slightly stunned. Yes, it's yours. Lin Yi said, in fact, it was a wasted trip. After I went there, I remembered the characteristics of the Sun family's Nigong. Grandma Sun was your wife. She naturally assisted you in your practice. So her true qi is the same as yours. I just need to check if your true qi is the same as the true qi in Grandma Sun's head. That's right. Faubert slapped the back of his head and showed a look of realization. I'm really sorry. I forgot about this. If I knew this earlier, I wouldn't have let you go back. It's not really a lot of trouble. There are some other gains. Lin Yi didn't regret looking for Sun Jingyi. Not only did he help Sun Jingyi find the map, but he also got the pure topaz. To be continued. Vote recommendation, monthly vote, etc. Target equals _blank. Chapter 1954. Date, October 20th. How was this a little gain? It could be said that it was a great gain. Of course, there were some secrets that even Faubert and Lin Yi couldn't say. About the jade space, Lin Yi couldn't reveal it to anyone yet. It wasn't that Lin Yi didn't trust them, but it was because Lin Yi's strength hadn't reached that level yet. If Lin E was a peak late-stage heaven-class master now. He wouldn't have hidden it from Falbert. Then hurry up and check. Falbert quickly reached out his hand and said, "Okay." Seeing Falbert's anxious look, Lin E didn't say anything more and directly checked Falbert's chi. After a while, Lin Yi's face showed a satisfied look and said, "There's no mistake. It's the chi in Grandma Sun's head. Then, can I help her get rid of the True Chi Expelling Chapter 1966? Very dejected?" Falbert was surprised and happy after hearing Lin Yi's words. He was most worried that the chi in Sun Liyue's head was caused by an enemy. If there were any malicious tricks, it would be troublesome. But now it seemed that this was unnecessary. "There are two ways. One is for me to force Grandma Sun's chi out of her body. Although this method is feasible, I'm not very proficient in it yet," Lin Yi said honestly. The second level of the art of dragon mastery, Lin Yi could only describe it as relatively smooth, but he was still far from being proficient in it. Lin Yi also needed a lot of effort to force out his own fire chi. Now that he was using it on Grandma Sun, Lin Yi really didn't have much confidence. "What about the second method?" Falbert quickly asked. "The second method is more certain. There won't be any danger, but the effect may be slower. It's not something that can be done overnight." Lin Yi said, "That is to let Grandma Sun recultivate the Sun family's internal energy cultivation method. Once Grandma Sun successfully cultivates it, she will be able to dissolve the internal energy on her own." Chapter 1966. Very depressing. Then let's go with the second option, Li Fu said after some hesitation, choosing the second option without hesitation. After all, this method would definitely not be dangerous. Although it was a little slow, Falbert had waited for so many years. A little more time would not make a difference. If the first method went wrong, it would be too late for regrets. Actually, I also suggest using the second method. Lin Yi said, "I've already got the Sun family's mental cultivation method. It's in my phone. I'll forward it to you later. But although this mental cultivation method was practiced by Grandma Sun before, it's best not to spread it. After all, I got it from Sun Jingyi." "I understand." Falbert nodded and said, "Even if you don't say it, I won't casually say it. After all, this involves the enemies of the past. If they know that Luo Yin and I are not dead, they will definitely come to the door again. We are not opponents of those people." Lin Yi didn't say anything more. He sent the document sent by Sun Jingyi to Falbert and then went back to the room to rest. Back in the room, Lin Yi couldn't wait to open the jade pendant condensation method. This was the version that Lin Yi had copied. The original version was left in the West Star Mountain Village. Now, there was pure topaz, but there was no news of color steel and blue crystal powder. Before, Lin Yi didn't study this condensation method carefully, but now that the pure topaz was in his hands, Lin Yi was naturally a little excited. He began to carefully study the condensation method of the jade pendant. However, what made Lin Yi puzzled was that this condensation method didn't specify how much pure topaz, blue crystal powder, and color steel was needed. Without the quantity, how could Lin Yi collect the materials? Thinking of this, Lin Yi couldn't help but wonder, "Jiao Lao, how many materials do you need to condense this jade pendant?" "As much as you have." Jiao Lao said faintly, "As much as you have? What do you mean?" Lin Yi didn't understand what Jiao Yazi meant. The more materials, the larger the condensed storage space. What's there to understand? Jiao Yazi explained, faintly, "Ugh. If that's the case, then can it only be condensed once?" Lin Yi asked. "No, you can condense as many times as you want. Every time you collect the materials, you can continue condensing." Lin Yi said, "So that's how it is." Lin Yi was enlightened. Doesn't that mean that the storage space of this jade pendant can be condensed into an infinite size? In theory, yes. Didn't you notice that the space inside the jade pendant is actually an infinite fourth-dimensional space? Jiao Yazi said matter-of-factly. It's just that at present, these spaces can only store all-purpose energy and can't store other items. That means that the condensation of the jade pendant space actually turns a part of the jade pendant space that can only store all-purpose energy into a storage space, Lin Yi asked. You can understand it that way, but the four-dimensional space in the jade pendant space is theoretically infinite, Jiao Yazi said. Lin Yi was speechless after listening to Jiao Yazi's explanation. Previously, Lin Yi thought that his jade pendant was an ancient product, but as he learned more about the functions of the jade pendant, why did he feel that it was more and more high-tech? Even the four-dimensional space appeared, of course. Lin Yi was too lazy to ask Jiao Yazi about these things, because Jiao Yazi didn't know. He was just a phantom. To put it bluntly, he was like a computer. There was a limit to what he knew, so it was useless to ask. After putting away the pure yellow jade, Lin Yi continued practicing the art of dragon mastery. Before he gathered the other two materials, Lin Yi couldn't make the jade space, so he could only put it aside for now. The next morning, Lin Yi drove Meng Yao and Yushu to school, while Falbert stayed at home to train with Grandma Sunday Lin. He felt a gloomy atmosphere when he came to the dorm. Everyone seemed to be in low spirits, and Bai Weido looked like he had lost a lot of money. What's wrong with you guys? Was there a break-in yesterday? Lin Yi looked at the three people in front of him, confused. Lin bro, you're back? Bai Weido's eyes lit up when he saw Lin Yi, but then dimmed. As far as he was concerned, Lin Yi might be good at other things, but he wouldn't be of much help in the freshman party. Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't be absent from the class rehearsals. It was obvious that he wasn't good at these things. I'm back. What's wrong with you guys? Lin Yi didn't know what was going on. Geez, Lin bro, I'm really done for this time, Bai Weiduo said with a sad face. That Zhang Duopan kid. It's just as you said. He actually played dirty. Target equals _ blank. Chapter 1955. Date, October 20th. What's wrong with him? Lin Yi frowned. For the freshman party, he actually invited a celebrity to be the lead singer. Although it's a celebrity who just debuted, he's quite famous in the country. With a celebrity as the host, I'm afraid the student council will have to give him some face, no matter what, and rank their performance. Bai Weiduo said dejectedly, a celebrity came to our school's freshman party. If we don't rank them, it'll be too disrespectful. So what if he's a celebrity? Even if he doesn't sing well, he can still get a rank? Lin wasn't too interested in celebrities and said disapprovingly, Su Shihan was nothing in front of him. In Lin Yi's eyes, she was just a pretty girl who could sing and dance. She wasn't even as attractive as Miss and Shu, let alone a celebrity who wasn't that famous. Let's not talk about the fact that Zhang Duopan's class is singing the celebrity's famous song. They already have an advantage. It's just the student council. They won't offend a celebrity over such a small matter. Bai Weiduo had been in the school for a long time, so he knew the logic behind this. The student council sometimes organizes some charity events and invites some celebrities. They're all trying to get close to those celebrities, so why wouldn't they give them some face? Zhang Duopan must have a master guiding him from behind. That's why he came up with such a trick. Let's not talk about how my singing is just SOSO. Even if I sing well, I'm still no match for a celebrity. Oh, so you're saying that as long as it's a celebrity, they can get a rank? Lin Yi understood what Bai Weiduo meant. Of course, it can't be too bad. Bai Weiduo said, forget about those celebrities who are famous for disgusting people. Then why don't we invite a celebrity to? Lin Yi said, I say, brother, it's not that easy to invite a celebrity. Zhang Duopan is a rich second generation. His family has a lot of money, his dad is a big boss, and his social connections are great. It's not a big deal to find a celebrity, but Bai Weiduo shook his head. We might not be able to invite one even with money. Oh, leave it to me. I'll try. Linny thought for a moment and asked, if we invite a celebrity who is more famous than Zhang Duopan, will our ranking be higher? That's for sure. When the time comes, all the members of the student union will be in charge of voting and scoring. Although there is a celebrity effect, whoever is popular will have the highest number of votes. Bai Weiduo said, I understand. Lin Yi nodded. Boss, are you really going to invite a celebrity? Bai Weiduo looked at Lin Yi in surprise. He didn't expect Lin Yi to invite him just like that. He had a matter-of-fact look on his face, as if it was easy to invite a celebrity. Are you ready to give up on Himei? Lin Yi asked. Of course not. Bai Weiduo shook his head and replied without thinking, that's it. If I don't invite you, you lose, right? Lin Yi said. Can you really invite him? Bai Weiduo looked at Lin Yi doubtfully. I don't know. I'll make a call and ask. Lin Yi said, ugh. Bai Weiduo heard Lin Yi say he'll make a call and was a bit discouraged. The celebrity Zhang Duopan invited is the coffee girl, Chung Yi. Although she just became famous recently, I heard that she's Su Shihan's junior martial sister. With Su Shihan's help, I'm afraid he'll be able to overshadow her. It's a bit difficult. Plus, Himei's idol is Su Shihan. Naturally, she likes Chung Yi as well. This time, Zhang Duopan is obviously trying to please Himei. Sigh. Oh, a junior martial sister from the same sect. Then just invite Su Shihan. She won't be able to say anything. Lin Yi heard Bai Weiduo's words and let out a sigh of relief. If it was Su Shihan's junior martial sister, it would be even more impossible to overshadow Su Shihan. Ah, invite Su Shihan? Bai Weiduo's eyes widened. Lin bro, you're not joking, right? Su Shihan, she hasn't even held a concert in Donghe. How can she come to our school's freshman party? I don't know. Let's ask. Lin Yi took out his phone. He started rummaging through the phone book. Bai Weiduo, Zhao Xingji, and Song Xiaodao looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. They couldn't understand. How did Lin Yi know Su Shihan? Or did he know other friends who knew Su Shihan? The call went through. Su Shihan didn't pick up for a long time. The number you have dialed is currently unavailable. Lin Yi shook his head and hung up. Lin bro, how is it? Bai Weiduo didn't have much hope, but he still couldn't help but ask. No one picked up. Lin Yi said, Bai Weiduo didn't think that Lin Yi could find Su Shihan, so he wasn't surprised when Lin Yi said no one picked up. If anyone could get through a superstar's phone, they wouldn't be a superstar. It's okay. If it really doesn't work, I'll give up. There are plenty of fish in the sea. Looking at Bai Weiduo's face, Lin Yi shook his head. Forget it. I'll try again. Then Lin Yi picked up his phone again. He was about to call again. However, Lin Yi's phone rang first. Looking at the caller ID, Lin Yi smiled and picked up. Lin Yi, you're looking for me? Su Shihan's sweet voice came from the other side. I was busy just now. The phone is with Wang Sis. Wang Sis told me that you called me, so I called immediately. Oh, I was about to call you again. Lin Yi said faintly. Su Shihan's enthusiasm was exchanged with a few indifferent words from Lin Yi. She was a superstar. What she said just now was to take credit from Lin Yi. If it was someone else, Su Shihan wouldn't even bother to call back. But Lin Yi didn't seem to be flattered at all. But thinking about every time she went to his house, Lin Yi basically just greeted her and went back to his room. He didn't say anything. This made Su Shihan feel that her charm had decreased every time she saw Lin Yi. What's the matter? Su Shihan said helplessly. Do you have time recently? Come and help me. Lin Yi said, help? Sure. Even if I don't have time, you can find me. Su Shihan was very grateful to Lin Yi. It was him who cured her headache. It was also him who saw through Yao Wang's plot. Otherwise, if she really took Yao Wang's medicine, the consequences would be unimaginable. Oh, there's a freshman party in our school. Come over and bring our classmates to perform. That's it, Lin Yi said. To be continued. Recommendation votes. Monthly votes. Target equals _blank that you're tuning into the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.